APG syndrome. APG syndrome. Hello, kids.
Well, good morning, Captain.
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 Good morning, Captain. Thank you. Good morning, everybody in the chat room. Yeah, got this thing started. Was talking with Dr. Steph, but she was having some issues with bandwidth. Big surprise. Actually, she normally doesn't, but she's going to go ahead and restart her router or router if you're in other parts of the world, and restart her iMac. Hopefully that'll get all the cobwebs and stuff all settled out of her machine. We're also waiting on Captain Nick. I believe one of the APG community members, Reid, in the Long Island area there, is picking Nick up from his hotel and taking him over to some office that has an incredible amount of bandwidth. So hopefully we will get a really great signal from Nick. Now I guess he was switched from the New Yorker in Manhattan to the place that they stay at. What does he call it? Grandma's house or something like that. And that notoriously has very, very bad bandwidth. So he knew that he had to do something about that. So he put out a call, and Reid, I think Fischler, answered. And so that's great. I did try the macaroni salad the other day, Micah, and it was lovely. I ate, it's all gone. And yeah, I ate it all myself. I didn't share it with anybody. It was excellent. 6 a.m. Lane, are you in, you must be on the West Coast. Yeah. I love the APG community, and I know you all do as well. That's what makes this thing a thing, I think. Anyway, so I told Steph to go ahead and restart everything, and I'm going to entertain the troops. So you all are the troops. And good Saturday morning, I guess, to most of you. I guess for some of you, it's afternoon. And perhaps if we have anybody from down under, it is, I don't know what time it is over there. In the middle of the night, I guess. I'm trying to look for a song here. I thought I had some kind of a down under sound effect. Too many sound effects. I can't see them. No, I don't see it. Yeah, here it is.
She said, "Do you come from a land down under?"
Oh, thank you, Jen. No, you didn't miss it. I forgot. So, thank you. See, with the help of everyone here, we get things done. Thank you for. I need a secretary or an assistant or something to take care of this stuff. Okay, let me go over here to, and what I'm talking about here. She said, "Did you send out a push notification or did I miss it?" No, I didn't put one out. So let me get over here to the back end of the app management software and get the URL from that page and send a push. I know you guys have, and you know what? It's not completely off of the table, Miss Liz. Yeah, it might be nice to have a communications team to kind of handle some of the stuff that I routinely forget, because it's obvious that none of my crew, Dr. Steph and Captain Nick and everyone else, ever helps me. B279 recording. live. No. This. And we want to open an external link. And here is the link. Okay, here we go. Ready? Everybody have their phones? Okay, I want to see everybody's phone. Okay, here we go. I'm going to send my push notification. Just pushed it. Hey, look at that. Oh, you can't see it. Too bright. Okay, there we go. Okay. See, look at that. Everybody got it. What does your hat mean? My hat means this is, that meetup we had in DCA a couple of weeks ago. Tony Fletcher, those beautiful photographs that he and his son Colin took as we were arriving and departing, mostly departing. Excuse me, DCA. He has a company, Tony Fletcher Design, and he sent this to us back at least a year ago, maybe longer. This stands for actually there's no kilo here, but it's an airport, Victor Kilo X-ray, and it's part of the what do they call that group of airports within the Washington D.C. restricted corridor or whatever. It's I forgot the exact name of VKX. I can look that up, I guess. Oh, you know what? I need to send out a tweet to. Too many things going on here. Sorry. Anyway, it's his design company made these really, really cool. Here, let me see if there's something on the back. Potomac Airfield. See, that's why I'm wearing a hat. You see my hair?
I should probably be wearing a hat too then.
Thanks.
No, I mean my hair's kind of a disaster.
Oh,
too,
I thought you said I couldn't hear you because I had my headphones off, but I thought I heard you say I'd be wearing a hat too if my hair looked like that.
Well, yeah.
I didn't have time to take a shower this morning because, well, a couple different reasons. One, I didn't have time because I was still doing all the prep work for the show, and number two, because I'm hoping hopefully there's not thunderstorms and it's not too stinking hot. I'm going to go out for a run/walk after the show. So why take a shower and clean up when I'm going to get all sweaty and ugh. Okay.
I showered.
That's good.
But
You look like you
showered.
Anything. You look very showered.
My hair's still wet. Yes.
Okay, 279, APG 279 recording. And I'm gonna tweet this now, folks, and then you're gonna retweet it. That's your job. Now, come join us. And what happens if I do this? Perfect. Okay. Then I'm gonna click this and this and this, and I'm gonna send it. So okay, everybody get ready. Here comes the tweet. You come to tweet. You come to tweet. And the Facebook post. Now, it's your job to retweet.
And oh, no, there it is. Got it.
All right. Am I blurry?
No, me. I was blurry.
So
they said it got better.
Are things getting better for you on your end? Are you hearing me okay?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you fine now. I think it was on my end because it was like 1 up and 1 down before, and now it's 22 down and 3 up. So isn't
that weird?
I don't know why that happens. I'm like,
I think they call that there's a term for that. Bloat. Something bloat, like bit bloat or something. I don't know.
IT bloat.
IT bloat. Oh, speaking of bloats.
Jeez. Just in time. That was your cue.
Yeah. Looks like Nick he's alive. He's alive.
I know.
Okay.
It made it to some undisclosed location for
Yes, it's a super secret location with crazy fast bandwidth.
really amazing internet. So
Yeah. What do you say? Like 300 up and 300 down or something ridiculous?
something like that. How do I get that? Don't have enough
I'd
money
like to
pay
get
for.
that.
No, that'd be amazing.
By the way, Dana will not be
Hi, guys.
joining us. Hey, because he is out there riding motorcycles with his lovely wife and some friends. And but some news is since the last time he was on, he now has better bandwidth. He upped his bandwidth. Why not up yours? So I always like that. Thank you for the condescending laugh. Anyway, his up bandwidth now went from 1 to I think 6 purportedly. Good. So we'll see how that works next time he joins us. We gave him the weekend off.
Yeah.
Got no sound, James says. I don't know why you don't have any sound, James.
Turn the volume up.
Turn the volume up.
Step 1, turn the volume up. Step 2, turn speaker on.
Me speaking.
We hear you speaking.
Right.
We hear you, Nick.
Why am I getting audio?
He apparently doesn't hear us.
Nick can't hear you. Turn the volume up.
Turn the volume up.
You're muted.
Nope. It turns red.
Oh, well, you have to plug the headphones in to hear anything, usually.
Can you hear us?
Well, you muted yourself now, so we can't hear you.
Okay, now, try it.
Oh, brother.
This is the fun part of the show right here.
Right. This is what people really tune in for.
I know.
They definitely drop off after we actually start. They're like, that's going to be boring.
We're just talking about that aviation stuff. Yeah. Airplanes. Ugh.
We just want to see them bumble around with technology for a while.
I'm trying to get myself centered in the shot, and I'm not doing a good job of it. Should be over here. There we go. Yeah, that's good. Whatever. Mm-hmm. Lovely backdrop for Nick. Yeah, isn't that nice? By the way, right behind me over there on my right shoulder, Steph, those are 1 each of 2 each that you're going to get of those beers.
Excellent. The ones from Micah?
Yeah. This one is the one I was telling you about from Shipyard called Fireberry, and it says yerba mate infused. I think it's some kind of a Peruvian. How do you say that?
I think it's yerba mate.
How
do you spell it?
I think that's it. Yeah, I think you did it. You nailed it. That show that I love on Amazon Prime, the Mozart in the Jungle.
Oh, yeah.
The conductor is from South America somewhere, and he is always drinking yerba mate and some kind of a special thing. I guess there's some kind of a process used to make the thing, and a special straw that you use to suck it. And anyway, so they put some of that in here. It's pretty good.
It's a species of the holly family.
Huh. We're still not hearing you, Nick. Can you hear us? No.
You can hear us.
You can't hear him? You can hear us? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear us. Yep. Okay. We can't hear you for some reason.
Nope.
Do you have the, is it connected via USB? Okay. And you got the switch on, right?
On the actual microphone, because that's always my problem.
Okay. I believe
just
you.
Because I tend to have mine off all the time for some reason.
Yeah, let me see it. I don't trust you.
I wouldn't trust me. Yeah, the mic's on. Oh, no, it's not. Just kidding.
Oh, Jan's got to leave for an appointment.
Ooh.
Eye doctor or something, I think she said. Sorry. We'll miss you. But hey.
Yeah, I might have charged
over.
Hey,
there you are.
What?
Hey.
What did you do differently?
We hear you. Yeah, what'd you do?
Nothing. I didn't do anything. We're just discussing how I was going to connect.
It's just
yeah, apparently.
all
No,
of a
is it
sudden
this
we-
mic?
Yeah, it's that much.
Oh, okay, brilliant. And the audio sounds okay?
Yeah, sounds great.
Excellent. I'm in a really salubrious office with. Come here, Reid.
I'm glad we were able to fix it.
There's Reid.
Hey, Reid.
Hi, Reid.
By the way, I am wearing the Heathrow shirt.
Oh, he's wearing a special Heathrow. Plug that in so that you can hear them.
Hey there, Reid.
Nice.
Hi.
Hello.
Thanks
Glad
for your
to have been able to help at 2:30 in the morning.
thanks for your generosity and providing this nice space and incredible bandwidth for Captain Nick.
Well, don't worry about it. And you haven't seen the space. I mean, you for all you know, I have him slaving in a closet.
We're hoping.
Yeah, please.
You should get some work out of him.
We are on final for JFK, so if we need to, we can just run out real quick.
Okay.
You see the T-shirt here. It's London Heathrow, and it's the runway.
The runway upside down.
Well, I'm not quite sure why this one's upside down, but
Well, if
because
you have that view,
yeah, this was done. This is a Korean. They had an entire line of shirts. I think this is just clip art, and they just decide whatever the heck they want to put on it. I have
It's not
one that says
upside down to me.
Narita.
Looks good.
well, I was gonna say, if that's your view on short final, there you've probably got a problem.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
why is the runway above? Ooh,
That's the way
oops.
it always looks for me.
Oh, okay.
but I don't remember this big arrow going. You land this way.
You're just
Got
not
it.
looking.
Got it.
You just missed it. Awesome.
Right then.
Okay.
How are we doing, guys?
He didn't bring the splitter though, so he won't be able to hear the show, huh?
No, Reid said he's happy just to sort of be in the hangout area.
Okay. That's more fun over there anyway.
We
Oh, yeah.
don't have a set of earphones for it.
I have a set of earphones, but it's silly for me to sit here and do that when I have my entire setup over there.
Okay.
So there's no need for you to have video of me.
No.
At all. So,
There's no need for us to have video of Nick either.
Just completely muted.
Or any of us for that matter.
If you go into the hangout, is it possible to bring Reid into the hangout? I mean, is that
That way,
doable?
otherwise I can watch it live,
Yeah,
and
but-
then
Oh, I mean, like, okay, we could do that, but there might be some. Well, let's try it. There might be some
Okay.
interference. Because
He's going to be in a different office
oh, okay.
where his gear is. But when we talk, it depends if if your voice comes over there and goes in here,
well, my desk is on the other side of that room.
well, why don't we just give it a go and see?
Okay. So
All right,
what's on the-
What's
is
his
the
email
Hangout-
address?
I've never watched the show live. Is the Hangout public?
At the moment, yeah, it is at the moment. Yes, it is.
Okay.
So,
But
Nick,
don't join the hangout as a member of the public. You have to be a host. You have to get a special link.
And we need an email address for him.
I need his email so that. I
And
can-
we need an email address for you, so Jeff can email the link to you.
and if you don't want it over the air, don't say it over the air.
Yeah, write it down. Slip a note to Nick, and he
He can.
send it
yeah,
by other
and,
means.
Unless you want everyone in the hangout to know what your email address is, write it down for me.
I'm doing that right now.
Good man.
Not that the folks in the hangout would,
It's-
harass.
Well,
him.
not the ones we know about.
Yeah, exactly. Because I was inverted.
Just since everybody has other accoutrements behind them, did you want to guess those?
Nice.
Excellent.
Oh,
Whoa.
Sorry, guys.
Jeff has like 100 things behind him. And
I've got nothing, but it doesn't matter. I'm used to nothing.
Tell him I can. I can.
Sorry,
see
my
the
office is-
back end and cleaned up.
Yeah. Jeff says he can tell you cleaned up. Oh, hey, you want to know what I did with that microphone? It's right here. I can't believe it. I'm just going to disconnect and reconnect because I'm using a funny cable. That's why we were getting odd. I might disappear for a moment.
I love coffee. I love tea.
oh, I have tea this morning.
Oh, there you go. Coffee and tea. We got it covered.
Figured it was
I
a little
love the
early.
JPG community.
A little early for the beer.
Yeah. It is a little. Well, is it really ever too early?
I was
for
going to
beer?
say that may not be a true statement.
Yeah. Did you go out for a run this morning, Miss Steph?
No, I slept in
Oh, nice.
till 7.
That's why you're all out of sorts.
I know. No, I was going to go tomorrow. I took a day for myself to relax. So
Okay. Here, let me play it to make sure I have this sound level right. Oops.
Flight 209, are you clear for takeoff? Roger. 1.9.
How's that? Too high?
sound, I don't know. It was all right for me.
Okay. Excellent. I should take a little photo of my little setup here today, which looks pretty normal.
I was going to say, is it different from the usual setup?
Not really.
I have a bunch of Uniteds in an Air Canada, which I didn't think was that fun.
No.
Okay, so how do I share this?
Jeff, can you hear me?
Yep. Uh-huh.
Through this mic?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
good. Okay, because for a moment there, when I just changed it to the correct cable, it cut out and wasn't producing audio again.
Oh.
But now it's fine. I was going to say, you won't believe it. We'll wait to the show. I'll tell you properly. But Reid has traveled on so many airlines. He has got boxes upon boxes of amenity kits. And he brings them all home and he stores them in his office. Who's this? Asiana.
So he's traveling, up in
Ethiopian.
the front.
More
to get all these.
Ethiopian. I'm gonna show them all on the show in a minute. He's gonna get me a bundle of them. Anyway,
Nice.
I'm about ready. I think when you guys, I'm just trying to connect my mouse, which is being a bit reluctant to.
No problem. And when you get a chance, just text me his email address, and then I can.
Oh yeah, that's what I was trying to do when I realized that the keyboard hadn't connected.
Bing.
Was that out loud?
Yep.
That was.
That was your text
well,
message that Jeff just sent.
It was just the way for me to get the photo on my computer. Now I can take this and copy it.
Okay.
Oh, don't you have like teardrop?
Yeah, I just never turned it on. I guess I should do that.
Oh.
That would make a lot of sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah, then you don't have to text message yourself.
I know. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Now
It's a nice setup, though. Well, I assumed you knew.
I know. Yeah, I really should know that. I don't know why. I'd use it.
There you go. I've just sent a message with email.
Okay.
Well, have you got a FaceTime camera on your computer?
Yeah, on mine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, except that behind me is ugly, and then that's. I'm trying to get you an array of varied.
Relax. Go and get your email now, and we can connect up.
Oh, hang on. So you sent it to me via email?
No, I sent it to you via the chat in our
Oh,
Hangout.
it's in the Hangout.
Group chat. Hangout group chat.
Are you sure you don't want to change into some Emirates?
He's got some pajamas for you.
Emirates pajamas. Emirates pajamas. There we go.
Oh, nice. That's a good look.
Yeah, suits me. Don't you think? You are nuts.
I have piles upon piles.
This guy is funny. He really is.
Okay, so let me fire up the email program. Can I share photos? I can't share photos on the chat room. The chat room chat, can I? No, I can't.
No.
You might even put it just to one side, actually, because I'm standing in front of those.
But if you put it on your computer, then you can screen share it, right?
Yeah. That's what I just thought about.
So
So let me go over here.
He needs to be on top of that part.
Is that Alf?
Yeah, it's Alf.
I loved Alf.
Alf and Bart.
Bart.
So that you
Bart.
have something behind you.
Dolph.
Okay. There we go.
He might die.
I am sharing my screen. Can you see it?
Yes. I see myself like 3 times. That's amazing.
I'm gonna let you guys.
Right, you need to go pick up your email. Reid,
Oh, wait.
and
I
see
haven't
if
sent
we-
it yet.
Okay.
Just busy doing this. Hang on. Okay, I copied the address. Let me go over here to the email. And I need a board op or a producer or something.
Oh, is that in the budget?
Yes.
Say again?
Yes. Yes.
He hasn't quite sent it yet. It'll be with you very shortly. He hasn't quite received it yet.
Tell him his bandwidth is way too slow.
Yeah.
Not sure we're gonna be able to manage it. Yeah.
No, I think like 50 gigabits isn't quite enough. Why can't you find my bloody mouse?
Yeah, that's it. Hit it. That always works with electronics.
I'm used to this is what Boeing pilots tell me to do all the time. That's what they do.
It's called malletize. You got to malletize. Okay, I sent it.
Jeff sent it.
Oh, wait a minute. It says your message wasn't delivered because the address could not be found.
Oh.
Are you sure that that's a good address? At he.net? Really?
Yeah. That's what he's written down here.
Okay.
At he.net.
Okay, how about so the first part?
Oh, wait a minute. No, I misspelled. My mistake. Trouble is that I'm trying here to input through too many different things.
I know. Welcome to my world. Too many things going on. Isn't this fascinating, folks?
Oh, yeah, they love it.
So are you gonna message me or something?
He's
There it
working
is.
on
There
it.
it is.
Ah, yeah, that's a lot.
That makes
That's a lot different than what you
it's like you had your
My
hand
finger
moved.
must have slipped.
You were not on the home row of keys there when you were typing that.
I wasn't.
the other address really didn't have any resemblance at all.
It
to
was
his name.
it was just like
Now
a
stop.
bunch of random letters put together
You're
is what it
making
was.
everyone realize I'm a complete buffoon, and I'm hoping to keep them in the dark about that.
Okay.
You've done well for a long time, Nick. I mean, it was bound to come out sooner or later.
It was. You're quite right.
Okay,
Damn.
copy. Okay, tell him
I was
it'll be
hoping I
on
could
the
manage
way
for another few years.
very soon. Here we go. Sent.
Right now. Why isn't this goddamn? Come on, Apple.
Easy.
You can do it.
Okay. Well, let me close
How
this.
far do I usually run? I don't know. I've got this whole schedule that I'm not really paying much attention to at the moment. Oh, we finished June. Looks like I've got a 14-mile run I'm supposed to do tomorrow.
Ugh.
But then it drops down to 10, and then 16, 17, 13, 19, 19, 20, 12, 20, 12, 12, 20, 12, 8. Marathon. Yeah. That's the next like 8 weeks of running on the weekends.
And you go up 14 miles. That doesn't even hurt you, does it?
Not really. I mean, the 17 will be tough in a couple weeks. 19 will be tough. 20 is tough. Especially because it's July and August.
Yeah.
You just have to start at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I should probably just go out at midnight and just not sleep. Sleep during the day when it's hot out.
There you go.
Germany is September 24th.
Matt,
The marathon.
I was telling the folks about this. This is at Potomac Airport, and this is Victor Kilo X-rays, the 3-letter identifier. Kilo Victor Kilo X-ray.
I have that hat too.
Yeah, you do. I was telling the folks about Tony Fletcher.
Mhm.
Sent this. Now is Reid just frozen, or is that just his picture? I guess that's just a picture of him.
Yeah. He's
Anyway, so yeah, Tony sent these more than a year ago, I think. Probably, maybe closer to 2 years ago. Sent us 4 of these, I think, or maybe just 3. Hey, there you go. It's a great hat. Love it. He's the one that
well, it
did
doesn't
those-
have the button on top, so you can put your
That's true. That is nice. I haven't noticed that, but you're right.
What do you need?
You're going to need a decent microphone.
I was going to say,
sound great.
my other choice, right now I'm plugged into just my headphone because for me, I'm on desktop. So for me, my mic jack is all the way in the back. How long is your mic cord? Oh, it's USB. Oh, that's easy.
Okay. So that needs to be up. Don't need to be right on your face, but reason is that needs to go into the back of that.
That's what she said.
What, for your headphones?
That for your headphones.
Oh, no. Easy.
You got your own
Here,
headphones?
I got my
Okay.
own headphones.
Good.
But now that you gave me USB mic, that was my problem. I didn't have a USB
Yeah. Now you probably need to just prop it up in front of you a little bit.
I have very little patience for
And
stupidity.
is that the hangout that you're part
Yes.
of? Oh, good. Yes, so you are. There's your muff.
Thank you.
T's and T's.
That's what she said.
And you need to be.
I will, but it's gotta fully. Once it tells the driver, it will send the audio out that way.
Brilliant.
It'll become an audio device.
Remember when you go to
I'm gonna tend to, and I'll tell Jeff, mute me unless you wanna.
No. Wait, you mute yourself.
You can mute yourself. Yeah.
You know when you want to.
You can hear me now. This is
Yeah.
Okay, sit down and.
By the way, Jeff, that's all of the undersea cables under the ocean.
Oh my God!
What? We can't see them.
Right, sit yourself down. Let's
I
get you
shall.
set up. Pop your earphones in, loudspeakers off, and then find out if Jeff can hear you. And make sure you tap your mic to make sure you're on that mic.
Testing. What fun.
Tap the mic so we can hear the.
Okay.
Oh, they
We're
can't hear
using a
us.
different audio device.
Yeah, and you'll probably need to select the correct on that thing there, the correct audio. Yeah, that's fine. You need to find the microphone.
Well, that's going to be the microphone on there.
That's called a Samson, that one, when eventually your computer finds it.
Oh, it should have it. Oh, it's still. Yes. It's just finishing.
Okay.
Installing driver. What mic are you using?
I'm using an ATR.
There we should be.
Samson Media.
Oh, yeah.
So make you got Matt Samson Media for.
Oh, it immediately sounded so much better, didn't it?
Mic.
Uh-huh.
As soon as
There.
we started getting that
Yep.
mic.
The mic.
There we go.
Just about there.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yep, we can hear you. And as soon as your Samson mic got on board there, the quality changed wonderfully.
Uh-oh. That's
No,
a bad-
good. It's a good thing.
Yeah, it changed for the better.
For the better.
But for whom?
For all of us.
There is a little bit of an echo there.
Is there?
Do you hear? On,
No.
on their end with Jeff or with Nick and Reid.
Oh, we mean because they're picking up.
They're picking up each other like
Let's see.
through the rooms.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Well, we just have to use small voices, Reid.
Yeah, use your inside voices.
Inside voice. And
The
lots of muting when we're not actually talking.
Yeah, the microphone is sensitive. It will pick up your whispers if you
Yeah.
want it to.
Uh-oh, my app just told me we're recording.
Yes, we are. That is true.
Yep, we're broadcasting, which means on YouTube we're recording. So be careful about what you say.
Family show.
Family show.
Nick. That's really just
That's
for Nick.
not yeah.
Not so much Reid. We trust Reid already.
You just leave me muted and then.
Well, you control it. I'm not going to mess with it. You can mute if you hover your.
Did Nick show you how to mute yourself?
Oh,
Or do you leave it
yes,
like that?
I'm very familiar with this.
Oh,
Okay.
you know Hangouts.
I've done more than enough interviews on
Hangouts.
Hangouts and Skypes.
Okay. Yeah. So you could just mute yourself, and then when
Yes,
you want to.
and I can just.
Perfect.
Now, if we could just figure out how to mute Captain Nick and leave it muted so he can't override it.
Nice try. I can hear you, you know.
Oh, sorry. Oh, wait. When you're muted, you can still hear me.
Very good. Right.
Okay.
I'm ready to go.
Excellent. So, how are the mic levels, everybody in the chat room? They all sound about the same. Guard.
Oh, I popped out in the chat
Guard. I love those people that do that.
I know. They're so funny.
Yeah, so funny.
I might go back and watch those again later on just because.
They're not funny at all. Oh, you're talking about the video. I'm talking about the people that actually.
Oh, the people actually saying things on. Oh,
yeah, it's just like, oh, come on.
That is also quite funny.
Yeah, so funny.
I might go back and watch
those
again.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm just popping out my chat.
You're talking about the video. I'm talking about the people that
actually saying things on. You gotta mute the.
No, I know. I'm just popping out my chat room, and then I shut it down again. Sorry about that.
It's just the order of. Never mind.
Let me try something. I'm gonna see if you
I'm
guys
just being unprofessional. I know.
If you guys start getting some kind of an echoing, start talking.
Hello,
Blah,
Peter,
blah,
Papa,
blah.
Becker, Pepper.
Talking.
No.
We're having a podcast.
Are we supposed to be talking?
Yes.
Well, I was just checking. I'm doing a mix minus to you guys, and so I just rolled up what I call the echo button. But it doesn't seem to. It looks like YouTube Hangouts on Air is doing a good job of squelching that. But I'm just to be safe, I'm going to bring that down. This is the way I can play stuff, audio stuff that you can hear when it's on the actual Mac.
Now, where is the chat room?
Oh, okay. Well, you need to. Let me.
I'm on the webpage.
Oh, if you go to the live video or the live
and
link,
then click on the big TV.
And then when it opens, do what Nick did: pop the chat out and then close the.
Yeah, because otherwise we're going to.
Otherwise, it'll replay, and we'll get that instant replay again.
I already have muted.
Excellent. See, Nick, that's how you do that in the correct order. You mute first, and then pop out your chat, and then get rid of them.
He's a professional.
Yeah, okay.
Apparently.
Look, Reid is a tech wizard, so all I do is fly Airbuses.
Nick, did you want a water or something before we?
No, I've just had breakfast. I'm good. I had time while you were driving around to have a 3-course meal.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny because you can hear Nick in the other room coming into Reid's microphone. It must be is that a condenser mic?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can give him a.
No, we're good. We're good.
It's just a dynamic.
He'll just.
I'm gonna mute myself.
Yeah,
anyway.
so that it won't make a difference.
Being that I don't fly a plane, I just sit in the back. It's.
I'm sure you'll. No, well, actually, your input will be quite interesting if we've got something passenger related.
Oh, that's right. I need to make sure that I have something for him to play, to bring him in. Here we go.
Oh.
Found it.
And there's absolutely nothing behind me that shouldn't be, right? Not that there should be, but I don't.
No, I don't see any pictures of penises or anything. That's fine.
Yeah, nothing.
If you don't want anybody to know you're located somewhere in the United States, I'd take that map down.
I think his accent won't give that away at all.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. 9:40. We're doing well.
We are. And it's the morning still. That's good.
Still
Yeah,
morning.
it is still
Yes,
morning.
still morning.
All right. Let me get this recorder going here.
By the way, is your company private, Reid? Are we talking about that?
We're private. There should be.
What I meant is, do you want us to keep it private?
You could just say that I build internet backbone. There's no reason to go out and I don't care which.
Okay.
It's very easy to find out who I am, but there's no reason to actually go out and broadcast it. It's not a public. No one is going to buy anything from it on here anyway. More than
I just wanted. We call
Yeah,
ourselves.
right,
We don't mention our airline names for obvious reasons. I just wanted to make sure that it was. I'm not going to mention it anyway. Probably better that way.
Yeah, I mean, it just could be that I build the internet backbone, which is more than enough.
You build the internet, basically.
I do.
I thought it was Al Gore. Dang it.
Well,
I thought it was that chap, the English chap, that invented the internet.
Nah. John Crapper?
He invented something else.
Oh, he invented the toilet. Never mind.
well, it's also a useful thing when you're on the internet. You know, a lot of people use both of those inventions at the same time.
That is true. Hey, did you just hear that? That
Bing.
chime?
Yes.
Was that-
Yeah. I heard it. I don't know who it was. It
I
was
just
not me.
need to change the audio of my sounds so that that doesn't come out.
Yes, and there is one, Nick. There is one possibility which I severely doubt. That phone to your right is an emergency phone. So
I hope
if
it does ring.
something, yes, if it does
yes.
ring, there's a
Answer it.
If it does ring. There is. You don't need to answer it. It will ring once and then forward. So that is the only possibility of noise in here. I doubt on a Saturday we're going to have a problem.
Oh,
Cue the
now
phone.
for sure we
in
will.
3, 2, 1. Someone get the phone number for that phone. I'm going to call it repeatedly.
Everybody
during
just
the show.
keep calling it. Okay, let's see here. Let me get to the Evernote page. I'm recording on the digital mixer. No backup because my H5 is behind me somewhere, so I'm not using that.
Is it broken?
No, it's just I decided I'm trusting the mixer's recorder.
Wow.
and we're recording on YouTube. So
Well,
what
we
could
also have to
possibly go
redo
wrong?
this on Monday then.
What could possibly go wrong?
Nothing, but I'll see you for episode 279 in about 4 days. Just to do it again.
All right. Let's see. Okay.
All right.
I'm ready.
Oh, Nick,
right.
I'm going to send you the. I'll send you that thing that we discussed in the car.
Okay. How can I hear my voice? Oh, it's coming through your mic. Yeah, we're going to have to be real careful with our volume levels and muting.
Okay. Are we ready?
Ready.
All right, here we go. I'm not sure I am. Airline Pilot Guy, episode 279.
Flight 209, are you clear to take off? Roger. LA departure 103.9.
Hello. You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, the view from our side of the cockpit door. I'm Captain Jeff, your host, broadcasting live from Studio 1A in the APG headquarters building in Roswell, Georgia, an Atlanta suburb. In today's episode, unruly passenger arrested after in-flight altercation with the cabin crew. New clues surface in the disappearance of Amelia Earhart. More news, your feedback, and a new Plane Tales segment, the Maverick of Malta. So get all settled in. Tray tables and seat backs in their upright and locked positions. Electronic devices powered on. Flight 279 is ready for pushback. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. I'm Captain Jeff, a captain for a major U.S. legacy carrier here in the United States of America. And this is an aviation podcast. If you're just listening for the first time, we talk about aviation news and answer a lot of folks' questions about our jobs and what we do. And let's see. Also, I have some guests here joining me from...
Doctor?
the Carolinas. We have
Doctor.
a marathon runner, a commercial rated instrument pilot, or a commercial instrument rated multi-engine, all kinds of things that she does with general aviation. And you can see I didn't write any of this down, so I'm just like floundering. But everybody knows who you are, Dr. Steph. Say hello.
Hello. Glad to be back for 279. I missed you guys for your little feedback extra earlier in the week because I was actually working my day job. Boo. But yeah, it's a beautiful Saturday morning here, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you guys.
We're glad that you could join us. We missed you on Tuesday when we recorded that show, or Monday, whenever it was. Let's see. Also,
close enough.
Yeah, it was Monday, I think, the day before
Monday.
the Independence Day. Yeah. Anyway, also joining us from, well, he's normally across the pond, but today he is in the Empire State, Long Island, in an undisclosed location with incredible bandwidth, apparently. A wide body Airbus captain
I
for
heard that.
Whatever. It's Captain Nick.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for
I
that.
do need to write this stuff down.
That very eloquent introduction, Jeff.
I appreciate it.
You're starring as usual. Now, I flew over just a little while ago to New York, and they switched hotels on me to what we've referred to as Grandma's house. And Grandma's house hotel has awful bandwidth. So I put out a plea to our listeners in the area, and a marvelous bloke who you're shortly going to meet, Reid Fischler. He is an internet wizard. He is a fantastic bloke, and he very kindly invited me over to his salubrious office on Long Island to share his bandwidth. So here I am working out of what I have to say are fantastic surroundings. And as every mod con here, it's very luxurious.
I have to
And
say,
we're gonna have
salubrious is one
show.
of my favorite words in the English language. So thank you for using it.
You're welcome.
Well, speaking of this gentleman, this fine gentleman, and salubrious offices and all that kind of stuff, let's play a little intro for him. Our guest intro music. We have with us the internet genius. What did you call him? Internet. I forgot what you just called him.
He's an internet backbone and co-location provider. He is a heavyweight in the world of internet. So if you want to know about gigabits and bandwidths and I don't know, everything else, everything you want to know about the internet.
Wizard. That was it. That was the word you used.
Ah, okay.
Okay. Anyway, here is the internet wizard himself, Reid.
After that, I should just bow out now.
If you were smart, you would. Okay, and I know you are smart. Thank you very much for coming to Nick's aid, and of course that benefits all of us here on the crew as well as everybody listening. And so glad to meet you, Reid.
Very well, thank you. Yourself as well.
All right. Oh, so as Nick just mentioned, let's just start with him because he was kind of catching us up with the fact that he just took a trip over across the pond and got in sometime yesterday. I'm assuming last night.
It wasn't too late. We got in about I think about 3:30 in the afternoon. Jeff.
Oh, okay. Probably nice weather.
Well, it's forecast to be nice. We looked at the forecast when we left London, and there was going to be a little bit of wetness, some heavy showers earlier on in the day, but it was going to be fine for our arrival. And of course, the Metmen got that decidedly wrong. So I was looking at it thinking, well, I've got a friend who can give me a bit more information about that. So before I departed London, I texted dispatcher Mike, who we all know, and just said, Mike, what's your feeling in the water about the heavy rainstorms, possibly thunderstorms in the New York area? And he said, yeah, I see the TAFs looking okay at New York, but if I were you, I'd put on a little extra fuel. Which I did. So on the way over, we had already heard that our previous flight had been put in a hold. Thunderstorms had closed JFK for arrivals. He ended up diverting to Stewart Field. He had to do a refuel there. We came in, we had enough fuel to hang around for a bit, and luckily the storms cleared in time to allow us in. The backlog wasn't too bad. So we eventually got in, and the previous aircraft that was supposed to land several hours before us came in behind us. So thank you very much indeed, Mike, for that.
Dispatcher Mike comes to the rescue.
Absolutely. You know, that sort of information is like gold dust. When you've got someone who knows what's going on, can pull up all that data in front of him and go, well, I don't know what those Metmen are saying. If I were you, I'd be a bit cautious. So that's exactly what I was. So brilliant. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, he's a brilliant guy. And, experience means a lot in this business.
Absolutely. We settled in, and then I managed to get into contact with Reid, who's just in the little office next door, and also Dave Abbey. We got together last night, had a bite to eat in a little German Keller just around the corner from the hotel, had a few beers, and very pleasant. Set up what we're going to do this morning. So here we are. And I don't know what my bandwidth is, but everything's humming and dinging in this office. I can promise you that.
You look great. The bandwidth is obviously very, very nice.
I always look great, Jeff.
Well, that's true. Yeah, silly me. So, just quickly, well, not quickly, but take as much time as you want. You talked a little bit about it last week when we did the feedback extra, but you had that special guest over there in the UK, and somebody who is, well known in the tight inner APG chat circle, Liz Piper.
Oh, that was the lovely Liz. Yes, she was over in the UK and making a special visit because she and my wife, behind my back, have actually become quite close internet friends. And what they used to do was message each other while they were both watching the same tennis matches, because they both have a love of tennis. And Jilly promptly said, "Well, I've got 2 tickets for a day at Wimbledon. What a shame you can't come over." And Liz went, "Hey, what do you mean I can't come over?" So Liz leapt on I think she leapt on a Dreamliner. I'm sure she would have picked an Airbus if she'd had more time to book, but she didn't. She came hurtling over, spent a few days with us. We had a nice barbecue, bit of a meetup, which we heard about on the feedback special last half show. And then she and Jilly spent a wonderful day at Wimbledon. At least I gather it was wonderful. And since then, she has positioned herself, this time, with her fingers in her ears on a Boeing 777, triple trouble, you know what I mean, got herself safely, thank the Lord, back to Canada, where she is now, and she's back in the chat room. So nice to see you safely back, Liz.
And she's enjoying 2 of her loves, her passions. One being, of course, this show at Aviation Geek she is, and also tennis. So she tells us that she's watching tennis and watching us right now at the same time, multitasking.
Expert multitasking.
That's right.
Yes. So, Miss Steph, what's new with you?
Oh, not a whole lot new. Is there a clock in the background?
Tennis. That was me watching.
Oh, that was tennis.
Okay. Very good sound effect there.
That was obviously.
Okay. I have a sound effect, a clock sound effect for Nick.
Hang on a minute, Dana's not here.
Oh no. All right, so moving quickly on from this, how am I doing? Yes, I actually pretty well. Last weekend, speaking of weather and flying, I made 3 attempts at going out to keep my currency up in the 172 so I can keep renting that plane when I would like to. The first attempt I made, the first day I had myself on the schedule, it was very foggy in the morning, so that was not going to work. So I woke up, looked at it, said, nah, not even going to go to the airport. It's going to be several hours. People have the plane the rest of the day. Put it on for the next morning because the forecast actually looked really nice. There was no mention of any chance of fog or low ceilings in the morning. And I got up and I looked out the window. Gorgeous morning on Sunday last week. So I said, all right, we're going to go. So, and my dad wanted to go with me. So I got him in the car, and it was early because I wanted to do a little sunrise flying. So we were at the airport at 6 a.m. and still gorgeous. I got out there, pre-flighted the airplane, and within 15 minutes, socked in fog, which stuck around for the next 2-3 hours, and then people had the plane. So we went to breakfast, and I put myself on the schedule for the evening. I was like, well, if I can't have sunrise flying, I'll get some sunset flying, and that worked out just fine, actually. So got to go up for.
I was gonna say.
Oh yeah,
probably had thunderstorms or something in the evening.
Well, I was worried about that. It did call for, the forecast was calling for kind of a stray. I mean, as we get pretty much every day in the afternoon here in the South, there's always that chance for some convective activity in the afternoons. But nope, it held off, and it was actually really nice. I took the little 172 up from Concord up to Lexington, which is a small GA airport not too far away. Just did a whole bunch of pattern work, touch and goes and things, and then came back, had my currency, and it was nice. I had a new, one of my birthday gifts was a new GoPro. So I tried to record a little video with it, although I didn't have anywhere to mount the GoPro. So it's kind of in an awkward location in the plane, but I'll see if I can put some of that together and put it up because
You were holding it in your teeth.
I was holding
were
it
you?
well. Yeah, I was like, flying this.
Little saliva coming over the lens.
But actually, the pictures turned out pretty good, and the video turned out pretty good. So I just have to figure out how to actually edit that video now, and then I'll post some of that because I don't know, it's not terribly exciting, but you can see it's the best video is of me coming back into Concord. So you can see if you look over to the left, the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and then you can see Charlotte in the distance, and the landing wasn't too bad either. So I don't feel too embarrassed to post that one.
The nice thing about those is you can always edit the landings out if you don't like them.
That's right. It's like, yeah, that one wasn't so great.
Yeah, unlike real life.
Yeah. Too bad.
Now, Steph, I'm just curious, what kind of fog was it you suffered from?
Oh gosh, knew someone was going to ask me that question, and I don't know. I have to go back and look at all that stuff in the weather. I'm not good with my different types of fog.
Let me give you a choice. Was it frontal fog, advection fog, or radiation fog?
One of the last two.
I'd say it was from all the drinking that she did the night before.
Yeah.
Bam.
I don't know. I never remember.
There is a good drink called a fog cutter out there that'll probably go through that. Now, so was it calmish winds, 3 to 5 knots? Dew point?
Yeah,
and air temperature very close together.
Yes, that's what it is. So
radiation.
Perfect. There we go. See, I knew someone would.
Captain Nick is so smart.
I know. See, the reason I never really bothered to learn because it's like, well, it's fog, so who cares?
It's fog. What kind of fog? I don't know. Like really thick.
It all looks the same to me.
I can't see anything.
I can't tell. So
now, interestingly, did the fog burn off from the surface upwards and turn into low stratus before it cleared?
Are you trying to be Miami watching?
Yeah, he is. Well, you know what? I think it did, but I'm not entirely sure because I didn't stick around to watch that happen. I went to breakfast.
Oh, okay. I like fog.
Mostly
fog's good. I have an interest in fog.
All right, fair enough.
Apparently so. And asphalt as well. I think that we'll hear from that later in the show.
Yes. No, it wasn't me. It was somebody else.
That was another guy. The old Kermit.
The other guy. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And then the other thing I did, I was actually, just real quick, went down to Atlanta on Tuesday, which was the 4th of July.
Oh, that was a big thing you did.
Yeah. I ran the Peachtree Road Race, which is just a 10K run, but it's the largest 10K run, if not in just the country, pretty much in the world. There were 55,000 people, over 55,000 people that finished the race, which is amazing to me because it was really, really hot, really, really humid. I don't know. We started in one of the very first groups because we submitted really fast half marathon times that we had run. I didn't run anywhere near that fast on the day of this actual race because it was very hot, but thank goodness we didn't have to start at like 9 o'clock in the morning because it would have been that much hotter and sunnier and just generally miserable. So, but it was a lot of fun. We did that. And then my friend and I went to the pool over at Emory University and spent the rest of the day there and then came back home. So.
Now, when you say you went to the pool, it's not like you were laying outside around the pool. You were actually probably swimming laps or something ridiculous.
I swam a few laps, but mostly we just sat on the edge of the pool and did nothing. Yeah.
Cool. All right. And it was a pretty good time, I think. Didn't you have a pretty good time on that 10K?
56 minutes.
Under an hour.
20 seconds. Under an hour. So about a 9-minute per mile pace, more or less. And it's funny, the way they give you your statistics, you can see they give you your statistics for the first half of the race and the second half of the race. And you can see how much better we performed against other people in the second half of the race as compared to the first half of the race. So either people went out too fast or they just got caught up in the heat and the humidity was too much for them and they fell off their pace, and we held a pretty consistent pace and made our stats better. So it's good.
Nice. All right. Well, I went out on a trip this week, left on Wednesday through Friday, and had a nice layover in Fort Myers on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, I got a chance to meet up with someone we all know and love. In fact, he's here. Both these folks are in the chat room, Micah and APG community member Mark Adams. And we went to, well, you know what? I talked about it in this audio feedback, so let me play that for you, and that way I don't have to repeat myself. Hello, we're at El Rodeo, Mexican restaurant in South Portland, and I'm here with, let's start with somebody that you've heard before, his voice. He's from Maine. He's a man. His name's Micah. Can you guess who it is? It's main man Micah.
Hey, Jeff. So nice to see you today. It was always great when you can come up here to PWM, and even when you have to land in a strong crosswind. But it was an amazing landing, and with any luck, our next guest is going to send you a video of it so that you can post it for everybody to see.
Of course, I'll have to review it at first, just to make sure that it meets all of my, minimum standards. No, actually, we've seen it, and I think I can release it to the public. So, thank you to main man Mark. Hang on, here he is.
Well, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, it's great to be here. It's as I was saying, it's kind of a surreal experience meeting you and kind of putting a face to the voice that I've been listening to for the past several months. But you're referring to your landing there at PWM. It was a great landing. You nailed it right on the mark and did a fantastic job. But listening to the podcast since about January of this year, I guess. And I'm not even sure where I got the idea to listen to it. I don't know whether I was just looking at podcasts or what, but I just started listening to it one day and I said, oh, this sounds pretty cool. Started listening to it and have just had APG syndrome ever since. It's been really, really great. I listen to it on my way to work all the time, and it's really, really been enjoyable. One of my favorite parts, as I think I've told you in the past, has been the old pilot's plane tales. I've really, really enjoyed that. Thanks, Captain Nick, by the way. That was really, really enjoyable for me. But yeah, we had a great meal here and a great day, and really glad I got a chance to meet you.
I'm glad that you took the time to come all the way down from Lewiston, Auburn area. I love Maine. Maine is such a beautiful state, and I'd like to go visit where you live sometime in the interior portion of the state. I hear it's beautiful. And thanks for taking the time to come down. I know it's not right around the corner. So always a pleasure. We were talking about the show and how it's evolved over time, and I said one of the most special things about doing the show for me is doing what we're doing right now, just getting together and meeting the real listeners behind the real av geekery out here. So anyway, so it was all my pleasure, and Micah would like to say one more thing. He's motioning my way. Should I give him the microphone? Okay, here we go.
I was going to say how Mark talked about how wonderful it was to meet you and what a thrill, and I was a little bit nervous, and I remember when I felt that way too, but now it's like, oh God, is Jeff coming in again? Oh, I got to pick him up. Oh, is he going to call me? Oh, but the truth is, what's really neat, and what I talked to Mark about when we met there at the PWM spotting a lot, is with our community that has become so special that it's no longer a matter of, oh, Jeff's coming in and and I'm going to be nervous and all that. It's like, oh, my friend Jeff is going to be here. This is great. We're going to be able to get together and have lunch and just hang out, and it's what makes it really special. So it's really nice to see you, Jeff.
It's always great to see you as well, Micah. Thanks. And Mark's daughter is here too, but she is elected to remain anonymous, and I don't blame her. Okay.
She's the smartest one of all.
She is. Anyway, so that's it. Great little meetup here in South Portland, and Captain Jeff out. Anyway, great meal at El Rodeo, or as Micah likes to call it, El Rodeo. And it was a pleasure meeting Mark Adams. I don't know if Mark's still in the chat room or not, and his daughter Carolyn. Yeah, it was a great time. And I didn't realize that the microphones really picked up that background music there. I think Nev was saying in the chat room. Is that some kind of a Placido Domingo gig that you're at?
Placido Domingo?
Placido, that's it. Placido. I prefer to
to
pronounce it in the native language.
I can hear my writing.
Do you reckon YouTube's going to pull that now, Jeff?
Oh, I hope not. Yeah, you know what? It might. Yeah. So you're not going to be able to watch this particular episode in Mexico, probably, because of copyright violation on YouTube. Anyway, I hope it doesn't, but now that you mention it, it might, actually. Oh, well. By the way, Mark brought a gift for me, and I have it here if you're watching the video. It's the history the illustrated history of a major U.S. airline, and you can see on the top there, he modified it. It is Acme Airlines, and he modified all the entire picture on the front cover, replacing my real airline with Acme. And then I was a little disappointed when I opened it up, and it turns out that he didn't do that for every single picture, just the cover.
Oh.
Yeah, but that was a lot of work.
That is a lot of work.
Very cool. Very cool.
Anyway, so great meeting you, Mark, and your daughter. I had a great time. Speaking of meetups, we have a meetup coming up this week, actually on Tuesday. I'm leaving on a trip again on Monday, a 4-day trip, and I'm going to be in Baltimore on Tuesday. And we're going to meet up with Hillel, and some others already have expressed their interest in joining us as well at Dempsey's Brew Pub and Restaurant. Let's see, got the address here. It's 333 West Camden Street, Baltimore, inside the warehouse and right field of Camden Yards, right there in the Inner Harbor area of downtown Baltimore. Again, that's on Tuesday, the 11th of July at 1600 local time. So I'm looking forward to seeing Hillel and others. I think I can't remember the gentleman's name that's coming up from DCA, but I've seen the discussion on the meetups channel of the Slack group. By the way, we'll talk about that, how you can join Slack, the APG Slack, later at the end of the show. Hillel, just hang on. We still have more.
You got him in the.
Yeah, he's
got him in the bathroom again. The closet.
But he'll make an appearance at the end of the show.
Okay, good.
I'll join Slack. Yeah, so there we go. Baltimore on Tuesday. Speaking of meetups, I see that also on the meetup channel in Slack, a gentleman named Fred Sampson. We all know Fred. He's a great guy. He's out in Northern California, and apparently there's some kind of a meetup planned there. It says NorCal pilots potential fly-in lunch with Old Pilot at either Livermore, Nuttree, or Petaluma airports on Friday, July 14th. Please let me know if you're interested in flying out with us. Stay tuned for other meetup announcements or pipe up with suggestions. So, Nick, do you have any more details about that?
I didn't even know that detail.
Okay, well, we're just now informing Nick of the meetup.
I mean, I've been in contact with Fred because my next trip's to San Fran, and I'm not supposed to call it that, am I? That's a bit no.
Frisco, they love that.
Frisco. I call it Frisco.
No.
Oh, okay.
They really hate that.
All right.
San Fran.
Damn. Well, no one's going to come to the meetup now then.
San Francisco, I think, is good.
So I'm coming to this city just north of LA that Fred lives at, and it's a little city. It's got a little bridge, and he's gonna take me flying. I thought, which sounded great. I did no idea he was going to arrange a kind of a fly-in, which sounds fantastic. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. That sounds great fun. Thank you, Fred.
Yeah, and
I hope it wasn't a surprise.
Well, I hope not either, but it was on Slack, so I'm assuming it wasn't a surprise. Didn't say, don't tell anybody.
That's great. That's going to be good.
So that's another reason to join Slack again. Hillel, are you going to tell us about Slack at the end of the show? Yeah. So we'll just follow us on APG Crew on Twitter, Airline Pilot Guy on Facebook, and we'll join us on Slack as well, and we'll have more information about that, I'm sure. Let's continue with the meetup thing. We're going to have an Atlanta meetup in, let's see, today is the...
It's a week and a day from today.
Thanks. Yeah, that's soon. I didn't realize it was that soon. An Atlanta meetup. Well, you know what? We talked about Dispatcher Mike and how he helped out Captain Nick with adding some fuel for his trip over. And he's also going to help us with telling us about this Atlanta meetup. So take it away, Mike.
Hello, APG crew and community. This is Dispatcher Mike. I'd like to invite all of you to a meetup that I'm going to be organizing in the Atlanta area on July 16th. On the last episode, the feedback extra episode, it was mentioned that there was a listener that wanted to maybe do a meetup at a Braves game. And it was also mentioned that our favorite Kiwi, Glenn, was going to be in the Atlanta area from New Zealand on his way to Oshkosh. So going on with what Dana said, he looked at the Braves schedule. July 16th is going to be a home game where the Braves are playing against the Arizona Diamondbacks, and it's a 131st pitch. So I decided to take the ball and run with it. Hopefully we're going to have enough people to get a group rate with the Braves. So here's the schedule of events. We're going to meet in the Atlanta Braves N29 lot. That's November 29er lot. Starting about 10:30. Tailgate. I'm envisioning grill, ball food, beer. So, burgers, hot dogs, beer, baseball. Pretty much feed ourselves before going into the stadium. And then first pitch is at 1:30, and our seats will be located in section 112. Cost is $35 per ticket. If you would like to attend and come out and hang out with us at the ballpark, see the beautiful new SunTrust Park. There's some aviation themed parts to the baseball stadium. Really cool to see those as well. But come out, hang out as a community. If you've never been to an APG meetup before, I strongly recommend that you can come. If you're in the area, come on out. Come in, hang out with the community. They're always a great time, and I always tell myself I might have just met this person today, but I feel like I've known them for a really long time. We have a really unique community, and I think it's going to be a great event watching a baseball game with everybody. So if you could please send me an email if you're interested in coming so I can get a tally and get some tickets through the Braves. Send me an email, contact@flyinginlife.com. And if you could put in the subject Braves or Braves tickets or something like that, put that in the subject so I can help find it easier for me, and then we'll discuss over email everything else. So I hope that you are able to join us and for this new fun meetup. So hope to see you there.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for taking on the organizational aspects of this meetup. I'm really looking forward to seeing Glenn and meeting other folks in the Atlanta area for this meetup, and also for checking out that new ballpark, SunTrust Field, the new home of the Atlanta Braves baseball team. So
yeah, sounds awesome.
You going to be able to make it over here, Steph?
I'm going to be in Chicago, so
it's not going to happen then. Okay.
Not gonna happen.
All right. So thanks, Mike, and as you said, contact at flyinginlife.com. By the way, he is the host of a fantastic show. In his last episode, we had somebody who is in the chat room right now, Matt from Down Under, was at an air show down there and got a lot of great audio from the air show, interviews, that kind of thing. So check out Mike's fantastic show, Flying and Life. All right.
Can I just have a quickie, Jeff? I've got a thank yous to say before we move on.
Yeah.
So I received marvelously 3 sets of books in the mail the other day, and I just wanted to thank everyone who sends me things that I might be able to use as the basis of Plain Tales, which is basically what they're all about. The first one was from Ruben, who sent me an autobiography of C.E. Ball called All Things Are Possible, and I'm really looking forward to reading through that. And Carlos of Plain Talking UK sent me a fabulous story, a book of stories from the Royal Air Force. They're kind of jokes and funny things that happened, and interesting, in inverted commas, called Out of the Blue too. And the guy that wrote the foreword, I know him well, and a lot of the contributors I actually know quite well. That's kind of a bit embarrassing. And the other one was Flight and Flying, a Hamish Hamilton collection edited by John Pudney. Just stories about aviation, interesting aviation events, and that was Tom Seagraves, the very first APGR I ever met at a meetup. So thanks very much for that, Tom, and I really appreciate everyone's input to Plain Tales for giving me ideas. Today's, of course, was from Adam Spink, who sent me the theme of today's Plain Tales. So thank you for that, Adam.
Excellent. Wow, our community is just awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't do it without everybody's help. It's great.
Okay, let's see. We also have some audio regarding yet another meetup, this one in Oshkosh, and from the gentleman from New Zealand that we were talking about who is coming to Atlanta. Apparently, you got to go through Atlanta to get to the EAA Air Venture in Oshkosh. I'm glad that you have to do that, so we get a chance to meet Glenn in person. But he sent in some audio feedback regarding possible meetups in the Oshkosh event.
Eugene syndrome sufferers, it's Glenn here from New Zealand again with some more feedback. Oshkosh is fast approaching, so I thought I'd have another meetup this year. The Brown Arch again. Everyone knows where the Brown Arch is if they've ever been to Oshkosh. 12 o'clock on the Thursday. Be there or be square. I hope as many people make it as possible this year. I know some of the BFFs in the actual room already know about this. So, yeah. So I hope to see you all there. Keep up the good work, of course, ladies and gentlemen. Glenn out.
Thank you, Glenn. So if you're attending Oshkosh, the Brown Arch, everybody knows where that is, apparently. And that's on Thursday. Unfortunately, I may make it up on Wednesday, possibly, of that week. But I'll miss your meetup at the Brown Arch on Thursday. But contact Glenn if you want more details. And also, again, there is on Slack in the meetup section. Actually, it's a separate channel. It's the Oshkosh 2017 channel. So if you're heading to Oshkosh this year, you should probably join Slack and join that channel so you can see what's going on. How's the echo situation going here? Did I get rid of that by sliding that thing down?
Let's see. Yeah, it sounds better. I mean, it was just for like a few seconds and then it would go away anyway. But
okay,
I know that's probably not recording on the actual.
I just thought it was real neat hearing Steph twice because we don't get enough of her anymore.
That's right. Well,
and I like hearing myself twice too because I've got a huge.
That doesn't mess with your head at all, does it?
Not at all.
Trying to talk.
Not at all.
Yeah, I wasn't hearing it at all, and in fact, I looked down and I saw, I didn't slide that off, and nobody's saying anything, so maybe we're getting away with it. But
no, not getting away with it.
Okay, so there you go. So thank you, Glenn, for sending in that audio feedback. Look forward to meeting you next week when you're here in Atlanta. All right, I think that does it. Lot of meetup activity here this summer, which is great. And now I believe it is time for us to talk about, just quickly, the Coffee Fund.
Johnny, how much more coffee?
No thanks.
I love coffee. I love tea. I love the Java Jive community.
Oops. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. Okay, the Java Jive. It's a little ditty we like to play when we're talking about the Coffee Fund, which is your way to support the show in a financial way if you can. Again, our disclaimer here, if you are someone who needs their money to pay for the roof over their head or the clothes on their body or the food that goes in their mouths and stomachs, don't send us any money, please. And most importantly, if you're saving your money to get some flight training and become a pilot, well, we certainly don't want you to spend your money on us. But if you happen to be financially positioned to send us some little extra cash to help support the show, well, feel free to do so by heading over to airlinepilotguide.com/coffee. And since the last show, we have using the PayPal method, the Coffee Fund Classic method. Andrew Saylor, Ian Griffin, Sealview Nicolescu, Jason Payne, and Jeff Moeller. And then if you'd like to become a patron of the show via Patreon, that's patreon.com/airlinepilotguy, or just go to airlinepilotguy.com/coffee, and then you'll find out how you can get involved in these different ways of supporting the show financially. And since the last show, we have some new patronage going on. Let's see, Nico Rager, Mike Clark upped his monthly or per episode amount. He doubled it. He went from $5 to $10 per episode. Mike, wow, that's awesome. You didn't have to do that, but we do appreciate it. Also a new patron, Michael, or Michal, or Michal. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right or not, but we also have a new pledge, a $10 pledge, big one, by Stuart. And we have a new patron as well, Owen Swanson. So if you want to become part of the Coffee Fund cadre, please head over to airlinepilotguy.com/coffee. Nope, it's not time for feedback.
Stand.
Okay, I'm going to get this right eventually.
Stand by for news.
All righty, let's start with this. On Wednesday, this is actually, I don't know if you've heard of this lady, Sylvia Wrigley. She's in the UK. She has a website called Fear of Landing. She's also a published author, writes aviation books. And I just kind of stumbled upon her website very recently, and I signed up to get some email alerts from her. And she wrote on the 7th of July, on Wednesday, the news hit the headlines that a newly discovered photograph could show Amelia Earhart in Japanese custody. The photograph, apparently taken by a U.S. spy in the 1930s, shows what appears to be a seated woman with rough curly hair. The location of the photograph is given as Jaluit Atoll on the Marshall Islands, which were at the time held by the Japanese. A figure on the left could possibly be Fred Noonan, her navigator. And finally, on the right of the photograph is a blurry something, which apparently could possibly be their Electra. And the photograph was released by the History Channel, or by the History Channel, to draw attention to their documentary about Amelia Earhart, which is entitled Amelia Earhart, The Lost Evidence, which is going to be broadcast here in the U.S. Tomorrow, Sunday, July 9th at 9 p.m. And let me play a little bit of the teaser or trailer or whatever you want to call it for this particular show that's coming up tomorrow night.
Veteran of air crash investigations, Colonel Hampton has put his experience to work in researching all available records of Earhart's final flight to map out her most probable flight path and to determine exactly where it may have ended.
In your experience as a pilot, do you believe she could have made it to Amelia Atoll?
At first, I didn't. And the more I dug into this and the more I researched it, the more I realized that not only was it possible, it was probable. So she took off from Lane New Guinea, heading for Howland Island. And what you're going to see on the takeoff is the Electra staggering down the runway for about 2,000 feet and barely getting airborne, which means to me it was carrying the full fuel load to capacity.
Lockheed's detailed flight instructions say Earhart's fully loaded Electra could fly at least 4,000 miles, 1,500 more than the distance to Howland.
The problem was they're using dead reckoning, which is a system of comparing what you see on the ground to what you plotted on a chart. That depends on landmarks. And the last landmark they had was this island of Nukumanu, which they passed over about 800 miles into the flight, right as the sun was going down.
No visual land image?
No land image, and it was overcast. She commented on that. There was no way for them to...
Okay, well, that's a little bit of a taste of this History Channel special that is going to be broadcast tomorrow night. I hopefully I'll at least record it. Maybe I won't watch it tomorrow night, but I'm looking forward to seeing what new evidence has cropped up and some new theories about what happened with Amelia Earhart and her navigator Fred Noonan. What do you guys think about this?
I mean, I think we'll always be fascinated by this because it's that whole no one really knows what happened. So there's a lot of theories out there. There's a lot of things that potentially could be evidence. You know, you have things like these photographs, which are old photographs, which aren't really great, high detail, high quality. So it's easy to say, oh yeah, that's definitely this or definitely that, but no one really knows at this point. So I love stuff like this. So I'll definitely record the show too and watch it when I get a chance.
Yeah, you know, it exactly pretty much 80 years ago when all this took place. I think she took off from Papua New Guinea on the 2nd of July, 37?
Wow.
80 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah. It was almost, 80 years to the day almost when this new photograph was discovered and at least released. So, Nick, were you in the Pacific Islands perhaps back then in 1930, 38, 37?
Well, I remember it well. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I did Amelia Earhart's flights before she did them. So,
oh, really?
Nick actually took that photograph. He's being modest.
Yeah, I put a skirt on and I did all those records first. So, I just I love the way people can resurrect what is really not evidence at all and turn it into such, because unless she was the only short-haired woman in the world at the time, a short-haired woman sitting on a dock with her back turned to the camera, I'm going, it's not really evidence in my eyes, but perhaps I'm not seeing the whole thing. I'm not a conspiracy enthusiast. I find the whole concept of ghosts, UFOs, and conspiracy theories nothing more than a money-making machine for those who rake it over again and want to make some more money, write another book, whatever.
Oh, a little bit of healthy skepticism from Captain Nick here.
I'm afraid so. I'm sorry about that.
That's good. Healthy skepticism is important, I think.
He's 100% on board with chemtrails, however. So.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, yes. Well, they're real.
What guys? We're not supposed to talk
We all know about those.
Sorry.
Now I'm going to have to edit all this out.
You mean we're live? Sorry.
Yeah, we're live. Can you hear me? Reid, what do you think about this? Any thoughts about Amelia Earhart and the disappearance and this new discovery, this new photograph, and how it's going to just change everything?
I'm always tempted to say that if they actually ever found anything, it wouldn't be on a reality TV show on cable.
That is another dose of healthy skepticism from our special guest, Reid. Thank you. I'm still going to watch it, though. It's kind of fun to...
Oh, I'm going to watch it. And I'm not saying that I buy into all the conspiracy theories, but I enjoy listening to all of them because I find them entertaining. And if you realize that it's, at this point, primarily entertainment, because like Nick so eloquently said, there's nothing that's any real evidence here, but I think you can enjoy it for entertainment's sake at this point.
I think it's an interesting story, and it's lovely because it's a historic fact. It's
Correct.
A true story, and it was a daring attempt by Amelia to do all the various things she did, and the fact that she disappeared on one of her record-breaking flights. So, that is just. That's a cracking good story. Great plain-tale stuff. So don't get me wrong. I love generating these kind of stories, and I love watching them. I just don't actually. I'm quite capable of withholding my belief.
Yeah, I think that represents probably a majority of us. Anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there. I thought it was kind of a little interesting. Speaking of interesting, I guess I need to find my sound clip here. There it is. Yeah, we have some passenger misbehavior going on again. We seem to have a lot of that very often. But this one involving an event that occurred just a couple of days ago. A Delta Airlines flight, Delta Flight 129, left Seattle and was heading over toward Beijing and somewhere around British Columbia at that point. I don't know how far into the flight here. I'm sure it says so in the article that I'm looking at from
1 hour, I believe.
Okay, 1 hour. This is from CNN.com. Apparently, a passenger, Joseph Daniel Hudek IV, a 23-year-old passenger from Florida. Well, there you go. No, I'm just kidding. Was arrested because he ended up getting out of his seat. He was traveling, by the way, in first class on a dependent travel pass, a perk afforded to family members employed by the airline.
Oops.
Yeah. Yep. It's not going to be a good thing for the employee. He anyway got up, attempted to open the forward exit door on the right side of the airliner. Two flight attendants tried to subdue Hudek, but were pushed away, and he continued his attempt to open the door. According to the complaint, Hudek was able to move the door handle mechanism and push the emergency release lever halfway. Aircraft cabin doors cannot be opened at high altitudes because of the differing pressures inside and outside. We know that as delta P. Where's my bell? It's not loud enough.
I could describe it to you, Jeff, but it would probably involve a lot of unzipping.
Yes, it would. And speaking of that, I'm going to need to do a delta P soon.
Yes.
Anyway,
Same here.
delta P. There we go. The differential pressure keeps the doors from opening once positive pressure is on the airplane. And they were about 32,000 feet or so when this all happened. Anyway, flight attendants signaled to passengers that they needed some help. And during the altercation, Hudek punched a flight attendant twice in the face and hit another assisting passenger with a bottle of wine. He then attempted to open the exit door. As the struggle continued, another flight attendant grabbed two wine bottles and struck Hudek in the head, breaking one. Hudek did not seem impacted by the breaking of a full-liter red wine bottle over his head, and instead shouted, "Do you know who I am?" Yeah, we do now. Or something to that extent, according to the complaint. Hudek was able to break away several times during the altercation. Several first-class passengers and other flight attendants eventually were able to restrain Hudek long enough to put zip-tie handcuffs on him. He remained extremely combative all the way back to Seattle and needed to be restrained by multiple passengers until the Delta flight landed, according to the complaint. So I think we're all getting a sense here that this guy probably had more to drink or eat. He probably was, it sounds like he might have, been on some kind of drug or something going on here based on this behavior. But I don't know. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something abnormal, whether it was substance influenced or not. There's many reasons why people can behave poorly. I don't know if we'll ever find out the reason for why he was acting in this manner, whether it was just he had malicious intentions without the assistance of any substances, or whether the substances were making him think he could do all of these things for whatever reason he wanted to. So
now, if I were that flight attendant up there, I would say, I'd just watch him and go, okay, let's see you open the door, because
give it a try, buddy.
The door is not going to open. In fact, Private Pilot Rich sent in feedback, I believe today or yesterday. He said, this is a quote from an article in the Seattle Times regarding the incident on Delta 129. Quote, one flight attendant later reported that the door could have been opened if it was fully disarmed at the altitude they were flying over the northwest end of Vancouver Island, BC. And he says, looking at FlightAware, it seems they were over 30,000 feet when this event occurred. I did not believe it was possible to open a cabin door in flight, both due to the design and Delta P issues. Can you shed some light on this? Thanks, Private Pilot Rich. You are correct, sir. He cannot open the door unless they depressurize the airplane, and if they had a depressurization event, then everybody would be in big trouble at this point. Yeah, the door is not going to come open. And in
No,
fact,
and it makes no difference whether it's armed or not.
Right.
A door can be opened both armed and unarmed. The only difference is that when it's armed, the slide will go off.
exactly. So I don't know why people have this idea in their head that they can open doors once the airplane is pressurized. And by the way, it really does depend on the airplane. I think that I'm not sure about the Airbuses. Probably once you switch from ground to flight logic, is that when the aircraft starts pressurizing on the Airbuses, Nick?
Certainly, yeah. And
Okay.
once you're on the runway, then all the pressurization dumps below a certain speed and the ram air valves open and we equalize.
Okay. I know that on my airplane, the Mad Dog, according to our manual, with the airplane on the ground, the automatic system pressurizes the cabin when the throttles are advanced for takeoff. At this time, a 60-second timer is also started. If the airplane's not in flight within 60 seconds after throttles are advanced for takeoff, the cabin depressurizes. In the event of a rejected takeoff, the cabin automatically depressurizes when the throttles are retarded. So when we push the power up, there's a little bit of a pressurization happening there to keep the doors in place and keep them from rattling and possibly opening up. And then after the airplane is actually airborne, then the full schedule kicks in and the pressurization continues to pressurize the airplane, lower the cabin so that up at 35,000 feet, 36,000 feet, whatever, your cabin altitude peaks out around 8,000 feet or so on my particular airplane. I remember also, and as Nick said, once you touch down and the ground shift relay or the flight to ground shift relay kicks in, that's when the pressurization system opens up the doors to allow the system to or the pressure to equalize, so that you can open the doors when you're on the ground. And we've had some accidents in history where doors or the airplane was still pressurized after landing, and there was an L-1011, I think, that was probably the greatest catastrophe regarding a pressurized vessel that they couldn't open the doors, and there was a fire inside, and I think everybody was killed in that one.
Was that the one that landed back into an Arabian airfield with a cargo fire that came through the floor, and everyone was overcome before they even shut the engines down, and no one could get on board to let them out because they couldn't open the doors from the inside or the out?
I think so, or it may have been that there was a passenger back there with some kind of a portable cooking device, like an open flame cooking device, that somehow caught the airplane. I don't know if it was a cargo. Is that it?
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember this incident at all, but
it was probably before you were born.
Probably.
Yeah. But I was thinking to myself, that there's a certain number of pressurization that occurs, or pressurization differential. And then I thought, oh no, I think that's from the 727, my 727 days. And with the mode selector in auto and the airplane on the ground, the cabin altitude will descend to 200 feet below the present field elevation, resulting in a differential pressure of less than 0.125 psi. And again, that's just to kind of keep all the doors, nice and firmly closed, and keeping them from rattling as you're rolling down the runway and that kind of thing. And then once the airplane is in the air, then the full pressurization schedule starts.
So interesting, because I ride on plenty of airplanes where we open the door once we get to our cruising altitude. It's not a normal thing.
No.
All right.
Yeah. Well, that not in your typical passenger airliner is that a normal thing, but I think that you're referring maybe to the ones the airplanes that you actually jump out of.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe he wanted to skydive.
Yes. I think that's where I've seen that before. Okay, just checking.
Yeah, different thing. If they didn't keep the cabin pressurized to 30,000 feet or higher, then I think everybody would
have a lot of unconsciousness.
Yes, there would be a lot of that. Anyway, but it's so
interesting, Jeff. I've rejected a takeoff before now when a passenger tried to do the same thing during the initial part of the takeoff roll, and they grabbed hold of the door handle and tried to open it, and I got a very anxious telephone call to the flight deck and so I stopped the takeoff. And that was a similar sort of thing. But of course, on the ground on that stage, it would be possible, perhaps, to open the door. But luckily, the passenger that was having a bit of a mental breakdown was a lady, and they were able to wrestle her to the floor fairly easily. But these things do happen. Luckily, I was just thinking, actually, with our system, we get airborne with our packs off. We only put them on at 1,500 feet. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm pretty sure you might be able to actually open a door.
Yeah, I bet you would.
Before we put the packs
yeah.
on.
Yeah, and if they've got them armed, you're gonna have a nice slide out there too. Should be fun.
Yeah, well, I know for a fact that way back when our airline started, we had a pack that blew itself in the climb, because they're mounted on some aircraft, particularly the old 747s, in a kind of a frangible thing beneath the door, and I think one of these slides went off and then flapped around a bit, then fell off.
That can't be a good thing.
No.
And from the general aviation side of things, I'll say it happens not infrequently where a door doesn't get latched properly sometimes. And if your door does pop open after you take off, the correct thing to do is just not worry about it and just come back, land normally, because the airplane's going to fly just fine with that door open. Make sure everyone's got a seatbelt on before you take off. That will help keep everyone inside, and it's really not an emergency if that happens.
Yeah.
So.
Now, I'm curious, Reid does an enormous amount of flying all around the world with a huge variety of airlines. He's given me an example of some of the, bags you get when you're on board, the amenity kits. And he's got ones from Emirates here, from Ethiopian, a few from them, the Philippines. He keeps them. He's got sets of pajamas from airlines all around the world, so he must have an enormous amount of experience back in the cabin, and I'm just wondering if he's ever experienced another passenger going a bit loopy or doing anything out of the ordinary. Reid?
Thankfully, no. And I would agree with Jeff. I would just basically let him do whatever he wanted to do at that point. There's nothing he's going to do. Let him burn off whatever's in his system, and then let's go on. I luckily have not been in a situation where any of that needs to be taken into account.
Yeah, so it's like a lot of these things. Reid really does fly a great deal. So he spends most of the year out of this country, moving around the world. If it's rare enough that he's never encountered it, these are incredibly rare incidents, and they hit the headlines because of that, because they're unusual.
That was kind of fascinating to me when I did a little research on, the different airplanes and, the pre-pressurization or whatever you want to call that, the fact that the Airbuses don't pressurize, that you actually take off with the packs off. Now, we'll occasionally take off with packs off for enhanced performance, like if it's very hot and it's a short runway, like flying out of LaGuardia this time of year. Sometimes the only way we can take off and our performance numbers are legal, and we have to take off with the air conditioning system packs off. And then once we're in the air, then we can turn them on. But that's kind of a normal thing for you guys then.
It is an airline, Jeff, and I don't think we're doing everything as other Airbus operators would. I mean, airlines develop their own procedures sometimes because of a particular event. And I can't quite remember what the trigger was for us adopting this, but we have been through several iterations of getting airborne with the packs on, getting airborne with the packs on powered by the APU, and getting airborne with an off. And the recent one that's been around longest has we have the packs, both packs off for takeoff, put them on. Once we've done the power reduction, and then we put them on one after the other, nice and gently, so that we don't blow everyone's ears up. And that's the one it's in. But exactly why, I'm afraid that's slipped into the long distance pass, and I can't remember quite why we do it that way now.
Interesting. So it's not like a Airbus official, this is the way everybody should
not to my
operate.
knowledge, but yeah. I know we've got lots of other Airbus guys who are probably cleverer than me in the chat room. I'm sure someone will let me know if Captain Al's around there.
Interesting. Yeah, all the airplanes I've ever flown, I think they have a little bit of a pressure differential before we actually lift off.
Yeah. Perhaps Stefan can correct me yet again.
Well, we'll see. In the meantime, anything else we want to talk about regarding this incident? At first I think it was reported that the this young man who is not going to have any travel benefits for quite some time, possibly forever, before he decided to get up and try to open the door. I guess a lot of people saw him doing that. It was all taking place up there close to where the cockpit door is, and some people jumped to the conclusion that he was actually trying to break into the cockpit, but it turns out that that was not the case. So
yeah, well, either way, not good. And
Jeff, back in the distant past, not long after 9/11, didn't a whole bunch of passengers jump on a guy who was behaving weirdly like that, and he ended up killing him because he suffocated?
I think it was a Southwest Airlines flight going into Salt Lake City back. Wasn't long after 9/11, 2001, and everybody was super hyper aware of what's happening on an airplane, and this guy started going up and trying to beat on the cockpit door, and you're right, the passengers subdued him and ended up killing the guy.
Yeah. No, just so it's not the sort of thing to be taken lightly.
Nope. Yep.
Nope.
Can't even be making jokes about it. So.
Oh, okay. I'll save that joke.
Yeah. Just kidding.
All right. Anything else before we move on to the best part of the show?
Nope.
No, sir.
All right. Let's do it.
Captain, incoming message.
That was loud. Sorry about that.
Ow, my eardrums.
Yeah. Okay, let's do that one more time at a little bit lower volume level.
Captain, incoming message.
All righty, let's start with, come on now, here we go, Ross. Now, I hope this is not too late for Ross in England. He sent this in back in late May. Sorry, Ross. Yeah, I noticed this when I was getting ready for doing some feedback on the show, and it said, "Hello, Airline Pilot Guy crew. In July, we're in July now, my wife and I are taking our daughter, Ella, who is 3, to see our family in Pennsylvania." So hopefully Ross has not yet made the trip because he was asking for some advice from us. We're flying from Heathrow to Newark on Acme Red. We're very excited to be seeing our family again. But when we went to choose our seats, after we'd booked the tickets, we found that there was a per-seat charge of £30 for each flight. So for all of us to sit together both ways is £180, which is a lot of money for us. I wasn't expecting this with scheduled flights on this sort of distance. I've never paid for a seat reservation on an international scheduled flight before, so I guess things have changed for some airlines in the tough economy. So my question is this: should I pay the money to make sure we can sit together, or is it likely that the airline will take pity on us and put the 3 of us together as my daughter is so young? Obviously, the last thing I want is my little girl upset on either flight if her mummy or daddy isn't with her. Would being at the airport super early be sensible to hedge our bets on them helping us? Any tips or suggestions are much appreciated. Certainly, if the answer is, "Hey, Ross, just pay the money, it's what you need to do," then would be good to know too. I just wish I'd known before I booked, but hey, there you go. I'm just thrilled to be able to take them on holiday. Thanks for all the plain tales, Nick. They're superb, as is the effort all of you put into the episodes every week. I've topped up the coffee fund and have a pint on me. Thank you, Ross, very much for that. And I think we have some advice for you. So who'd like, Steph, would you like to tackle this one first?
Well, I'll tell you what I would do, and it may not be specific to this particular airline, but we might have some insider information in a minute here. But I don't like to leave things like that to chance necessarily. My concern would be that if there is a possibility that other people are choosing their seats, if it's a very full flight and enough people have reserved the seats they want by the time you get to the airport, then you may not have seats together, even if you're there very early trying to hedge your bets and make sure you get assigned all together. Certainly in a lot of cases I've seen where it happens where someone, a family arrives late for a flight or didn't have assigned seats, and people are generally good, and they will offer to volunteer to move seats so that a family with young children can all sit together. And I've seen that happen many, many, many times. But if it were me personally, I had a child that young, under the age of, I don't know, but certainly at 3, that's young enough where I'd want to make sure that we were all sitting together. I would probably just pay the money, but that's me. And I certainly understand that 180 pounds is a lot of money to be paying for a seat. And if it's not possible, if that wasn't a possibility for me, then I think I would do what Ross said and just show up as early as possible and try and see if there were, ways that we could make that accommodation. So I think those are both reasonable ideas.
Cannot imagine a gate agent like separating a 3-year-old from.
Well, my concern would be that they
parents.
Well, I think certainly they'll get one parent with the child, but if you want all 3 of you together, then I think the safe way to go is to pay for the seats.
I agree with that. But I think that if you decided to risk it and not pay the upcharge, that there would be a very high chance, in my opinion, that at least one of the parents, either mommy or daddy, would be sitting with the 3-year-old Ella. Even if for some strange reason it happened where the gate agent was just like evil and said, no, I'm sorry, I'm going to put every one of you in a different seat in a different part of the airplane, I guarantee you the passengers would see, wait a minute, what's this little 3-year-old doing by itself here? Are you traveling alone? Where's your mom and dad? And then I'm sure somebody would say, look.
No one wants to sit next to a 3-year-old that's traveling separate
true.
from their parents that they don't know, because then they have to be babysitter or otherwise, and people will get up and move their seat. So I think you're not in any trouble if you don't book the tickets, but I don't know. It just, it's a, how certain do you want to be of having those seats together? Where do you want to sit on the plane? There's other things that go into it too, perhaps, but curious to see what Nick thinks.
I'm just trying to work out how Ross booked his tickets, because in the normal course of events, if you book through the airline website, you kind of get presented with a picture of the airplane, and when you pay for your ticket, you pick your seat. That's it, and that's your initial pick, and you pick all 3 together, and Bob's your uncle. It sounds like he might have gone through a travel agent or a discount system. I'm only guessing. I don't know, Ross. Perhaps, if you're interested enough, let us know. In which case, that option might not have been there, because the seats may have been booked by a travel agent, and they're just selling them on, in which case they may not offer that facility. So if you don't book through the airline, then that's often a problem. And what's more, if you do book through the airline and you get the airline app on your phone, you can usually get in there at any time. You can pick your own seat, and you can check in early on the app and move your seats around as long as other people haven't picked them, and get yourselves together. So if you weren't offered that facility, it sounds like you perhaps were using a different system of getting your seats. Now,
this is one where I can probably shine a little bit of light into.
Yeah,
this
I was going to ask you your input on this, Reid.
I can tell you that there are now many airlines that either will not allow you to reserve your seat, even if you're paying full business class. Lufthansa now will not allow you to pick your seat. Even if you book directly with them, they want you to pay extra to reserve a direct seat. The other thing is that there could be a situation where they booked in, I'll just give the United terms for this, but they booked in economy, and the economy section is completely full, but the economy plus, or the economy comfort for Delta, or the economy, whatever every airline calls it, that area still has seats. So what they're being told is there are no seats available in the section that they booked, but when they show up, this is something that many people do. You don't want to reserve seats, because when you reserve seats in the section, even if it's available, when you show up, you may be basically bumped up to that economy plus or economy comfort section. So what I would say is, I agree, you're always going to get one parent next to the child, but I would say that more than likely they're flying one of the new discount fare buckets, and they probably did book directly with the airline. But make sure that the reservation notes that one of the passengers is 3 years old. because at least that way they'll see, and you'll be guaranteed to get a parent and the child together, and more than likely all three.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, that it's probably one of those new super low fare levels where, yeah, you're gonna have a seat, but you don't, who knows where it's going to be until you get there. And that's just like one of those ways to lower the cost as much as possible, and also maybe for the airline to make a little extra money for those who are not willing to just show up and get a seat wherever. They want to know where their seat is going to be.
Yeah, people like me. Unfortunately,
yeah,
I know where I want to sit. I know
you're
where
a picky person. Yeah,
I am picky. I have high standards.
Yeah,
and just remember, there's no guarantee when you reserve a seat that that's going to be your actual seat. They will and often will bump you, whether it be for some passenger that requires to sit in that seat, or if there's an equipment swap, or any number of various other things. So just because you got that seat doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be sitting there either.
Yeah, as we learned with that United episode with the Dr. Dow, or whatever his name was, that we learned from the, what is it called? The something of carriage, the contract of carriage, that even though you have a reserved seat, you paid extra to have that seat, as Reid just mentioned.
Or even to fly on that particular flight.
Yeah. That's not really a guarantee. I guess there are not really many guarantees.
Not in life.
World
Not
of
in life.
traveling. Yeah. Interesting. Well, thank you, Reid, for your input on that. And Ross, again, apologies that we didn't address this until now. And I hope that you haven't taken the trip yet and that this advice was helpful.
Yeah, and I hope Acme Red look after you and you have a great flight on board.
I'm sure they will, and I'm sure that it'll be a great experience. And I'd like to meet your Uncle Bob sometime, Nick.
Oh, he's not mine. He's everyone's uncle.
Oh, okay, I've never heard that saying before. I love that. And then Bob's your uncle. What?
Absolutely.
Love that. John writes in, John Barr. He used the APG app to send us a little bit of feedback. And here's his feedback. I need some Miami Rick. It helps with my APG syndrome. APG syndrome. APG syndrome. So if you want to send in little pithy comments like John, and I agree, John, we do need some Miami Hick.
Yeah, Hick or Rick? Which one did you say?
I probably said Rick, but what I meant to say was Miami Hick.
Okay.
Sorry.
I might have misheard it too.
I think we should do with a lot more of both, quite honestly.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is for sure.
Rick, if you're listening, man, we still want you back.
We miss you.
Come on, we do.
So sad.
Oh, we got something from Rick right now. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, no, never mind. Luke says, "G'day, Jeff and crew. Remember me, Luke, from Tasmania, Australia? Probably not. That's okay. Oh, we remember you, Luke.
Of course.
Seemed for a period of almost 6 months, I've been cured from the notorious APG syndrome, but of course, it has returned into my system. It was about a month ago when I was poking around the Google Play Store, a podcasting app appeared in my suggested. From there, it was a slippery slope back to my same old ways, and I've spent more time trying to catch up on episodes than I'm willing to admit. Come on, you can let us all know. We're among friends. We won't tell
As Bill says in the chat room, use the force, Luke.
All things aside, though, I'm determined to find time in my busy schedule to get my APG fix, and it's great to see the community still thriving. It's been almost a year since my license test, and my word, has a lot of stuff happened, and my word, has it been awesome. Well, for the most part. A couple of months ago, I was unlucky enough to witness a fatal accident, and I was one of the first on scene. If nothing else, it gave me a massive respect for emergency services who encounter that kind of stuff daily. It's always important to take away something from accidents and implement it into how you fly. In this case, it was pre-flight checks. It appears at this stage the accident was resultant of a disconnected aileron, which caused an uncommanded roll left after takeoff. So I am now super thorough in creating a sterile environment in which to pre-flight the airplane. I now leave my phone in the club rooms and leave passengers on the other side of the fence. The sterile environment drastically reduces the likelihood of distractions, which we believe was a factor in this accident. Like they say, you don't have to be paid to fly to be a professional pilot. Absolutely. I feel that there's probably something everyone can take away from this and implement into their future flying, even you heavy metal drivers. Yep, distraction is a killer for sure. On a lighter note, I'm back in the air, and my YouTube channel now features a few videos I've compiled over the last year. Feel free to give it a look if you've got a few free minutes. I think they would be particularly valuable. Let me try that again. I think that they would be particularly valuable and entertaining to those who are involved in recreational education. And then he gives us a link to his YouTube channel, which I'll put in the show notes. I don't know how long it will take for you to get to this, but feel free to read it on the show. Oh, good thing he put that on there. Now I'm finally getting it toward the end of this. I'm glad that you said don't read this on the show, or I'm glad you didn't say that. I'm glad to be back. You guys didn't think you could get rid of me that easily, did you? No. Once again, Jeff, thanks for the hours of effort you put into the show weekly. I look forward to the many enjoyable hours of aviation conversation to come. Blue skies and tailwinds, Luke. He sent this in toward the end of May. Yeah, I'm sorry it took so long for us to get to Luke, but we're getting there. We're getting there. All right. So I haven't had a chance yet to check out his YouTube channel from the last time that I checked it out. So I intend to do that after the show. I think you should too.
Copying the link into my browser right now so I can watch it later on.
Good to have you back, Luke. Sorry for the syndrome, but you know, as I said,
we did miss you, but
yeah. Okay. Let's see. Just a brief pause. I'm checking my email. Just got a message to check my email. Let's see here. Apparently hasn't. Is it something that went to our Evernote? Or not?
It's something that Reid just sent a link or something. But
okay.
Reid, you might want to just pop it in the Google Hangout chat. Might be quicker.
Let's see.
Do I have a minute for a Delta P break and a
let's do that. Since we're kind of pausing for the moment, let's do that. I went ahead and kind of I couldn't wait any longer.
We heard the toilet flush in the background, or at least I did. Oh yeah.
Okay.
See if you hear it when you listen back and edit.
Oh, but yeah, that'll be interesting. I thought I muted my microphone.
Jeff, I just tossed it in the Hangout chat.
Okay, well I got your email as well.
All right, I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have my microphone muted, so I'm not sure what she thought was a flushing toilet sound.
Oh, this was the thing you were talking about, how to get a job.
Right.
An airline?
Yeah, this is the one where you can bypass some of the requirements.
Wow.
If anyone was looking for it, it's a job.
This is your chance to be an airline pilot in Hawaii.
Sounds terrible. I don't think I'd like that.
Mokulele. I mean, it's such a horrible place to live and fly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Weather's horrible. If you've previously applied for a Mokulele, follow the instructions below to apply again.
Sounds like they're trying to, I won't say, well, I will say they're trying to encourage guys by making a bit of an effort to make it easier for them to apply.
Yeah, does.
Yeah, and it's just 10 days. So I just thought if it waited the normal feedback loop.
Yeah, it would have been, a couple of months ago, there was an opportunity out there that you shouldn't have missed.
Yeah, exactly right. So I think Reid was saying like there's 5 days left of this offer for you to get your applications in.
Yeah, I think the 14th is
14th.
when, yeah. Today is the 8th, so yeah, about 5 or 6 days left to do this. Yeah, I'll talk about that. Thank you, Reid, for that.
No problem.
I'm wondering if this is the outfit that also they're out of Pittsburgh is a company that's doing some like serving, what do they call that? Essential air service to smaller cities and that kind of thing. And it was like a Hawaiian sounding name that was like the mother company of this other.
Yeah, I think Mokulele they do some essential air, but this is for Hawaii itself.
Okay, so it's not. So if you apply for this is actually flying in the Hawaiian Islands.
Yeah, and Mokulele, I think, lost that contract. I think they just do some of the California stuff now.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
But this is a way, supposedly this contest, whether or not you want to believe them or not, this contest will have its own job pool.
Oh, so this is actually a contest.
It's for people who watch this pilot on YouTube.
Oh.
And so you can actually get into this group of job applicants. They're guaranteeing that they're going to hire out of this pool of applicants. So
okay.
They will, as it says, they'll guarantee that they'll place at least one captain and one first officer of the people who apply during this 10 days.
So if I play this video, will that kind of be explained?
It will, but yeah, it will. You can see him flying, and then it will explain it. But I just wanted to at least give the link so that anybody looking for a job and complains that no one's hiring, this is and Hawaii is a horrible place, as we all said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would never want to live there.
Hideous.
It's awful.
Okay, I'm going to turn up the echo button.
Yeah, I'll mute myself again.
Okay. Yeah, let me see if we can hear this.
I've only been flying here at Mokulele Airlines for a short period of time, but I've received some of the best feedback on these videos that I've ever gotten. You guys have been the best subscribers and viewers that I've ever had. Some of the most engaged people.
Okay. So it sounds like you guys could hear that, right? Oh, everybody's still there.
Yes.
Absolutely. It's fine.
Sorry, I was taking a sip of my beverage and trying to give you the thumbs up.
No, that's okay. Let me pull up the actual video of the hangout here, and that way I can see what's going on instead of just listening for somebody to say something. Okay.
I was just trying to mouse the unmute.
Okay. So let's see. We were talking about where were we? Luke.
Yep, hiatus. And then the next one.
And I think I'm not sure if this is the same Luke or not. It came like within a couple days of the first one from Luke, and I tried to determine it from the email address if this is the same Luke, and I can't tell.
I can't tell either. Yeah.
So I'm going to assume. I can't assume it's the same.
There is another Luke that definitely listens and sends a lot of feedback. So
we have several Lukes.
Several Lukes. Yeah.
And send feedback. Okay. So before I address that one, let's quickly address Reid's breaking news. So let's see here. I guess I can do this. We have some breaking news of a sort. This is something that Reid, our special guest, made us aware of very recently, like just a few minutes ago, and involves an opportunity for those of you out here who are looking for flying opportunities to possibly take advantage. And I guess this guy has a YouTube channel and creates YouTube videos about flying. I have not subscribed to this channel myself, so I'm all new to this as well. But apparently there's some kind of a contest or something going on. So let's take a listen to this gentleman and his YouTube video regarding this opportunity to get a flying job in Hawaii.
I've only been flying here at Mokulele Airlines for a short period of time, but I've received some of the best feedback on these videos that I've ever gotten. You guys have been the best subscribers and viewers that I've ever had, some of the most engaged people that I've worked with, and I really want to find a tangible way of giving back to you guys. With some of that feedback I've gotten a lot of pilots, dozens of pilots, emailing me and messaging me, asking how they too can come work here at Mokulele Airlines. So as of right now, I'm announcing a special 10-day hiring opportunity for any qualified subscriber of this channel to live out their dream as an airline pilot right here in Hawaii. This is the kind of flying that you can look forward to.
Some great footage of flying around.
Applications from today until 10 days from now will be accepted. Check out that link below for details. Our company is guaranteeing that at least one captain and one first officer will be hired during this 10-day period. Our CEO, chief pilot, and other Mokulele management leaders are going to select the applications that best fit our company and then bring them into our team. The best part is, if your application isn't selected right away, it will remain with the company as if you had applied normally for future hiring considerations. For just these 10 days, we've reduced the minimums to be hired as a first officer here, and we've also eliminated our standard phone interview and prior simulator testing that's required to become a Mokulele pilot. Full list of requirements can be found on my website, swainmartin.com, or through the link below. Make sure to follow all of the instructions on that page. Our airline receives hundreds of applications for pilot positions, especially first officers. So while I can't guarantee that your application will be selected right away, I can guarantee you that for these 10 days, your application will be at the top of the stack. I really want to thank you again for being a subscriber of this channel. You guys make my job a ton of fun. I really hope to see a few of you flying out here soon.
All right.
Well, I tell you what, if the job would pay the rest of my student loans, I'd be applying right now. But sadly, I don't
Probably have a lot of student loans.
quite cover the bills. But that's an excellent opportunity, and anyone who's, flexible right now with where they can relocate to, or if you're already in Hawaii, or if, you need an airline job, this is great.
And what a great start to a How I Got Here story.
Absolutely.
Yep. And again, this YouTube channel is Swain, Swayne Martin, and we'll put the link to the channel in the show notes as well, of course. And you can rewatch the video and go to the website and make your application. If this is sounds like something that would be a dream of a lifetime, and it might be your way to get your foot in the door of a career in professional flying.
Yeah, that was a great spot, Reid. And Reid tells me that. See, that it's not a podcast, is it? It's a YouTube channel. It's Great Aviation one to watch. It's fun. So.
Well, I just hit the subscribe button, so I'll be watching.
You can get a job.
Well, I don't think I'm going to be applying for the job. I like the one that I have right now, actually.
Really?
But yeah,
flying Mad Dogs out of Atlanta. You could be in Hawaii, man.
What are they flying in Hawaii? The Caravan?
Yeah, that Caravan.
That's a lovely airplane.
Although I wouldn't mind flying with that captain. She was
yeah.
good looking.
Anyway, I thought they towed Caravans.
Yeah, well, sometimes they fly them, but they slap a wing on it and
chuck it off a cliff.
So this guy looks like he's pretty new to the professional flying game. Very young person, sitting as a first officer on the Caravan, flying from Mokulele.
Jeff, they all look young to you.
I know they do. Shut up. You're right. At our age, everybody looks young. Okay, so thank you, Reid, for that, and hopefully somebody will be able to take advantage of that. And if they do, please let us know. Send us some feedback and say, hey, you know that video? Guess what? I got a job at Mokulele. Or Mokulele.
It still sounds like a cocktail.
Acme Pacific.
Acme Pacific. There you go. Acme Hawaii.
Hawaii. It just sounds like ukulele to me every time you say it. Mokulele. Imagine just someone like sitting there, like strumming along on a ukulele, flying a airplane.
Words just sound so.
They're pretty.
Melodious.
Yes.
Okay, getting back to the feedback. Sorry, the feedback. Luke, we're not sure if this is the same Luke that had the hiatus and is suffering from APG syndrome or not, but it doesn't matter. Hello, APG team. Can you please explain what circumstances require a flight to reduce power and level off very early during departure? I experienced this on nearly every departure from Sydney and found another example in this video for the listeners to see what I'm referring to. Skip to the 5-minute point. And he has the link to the YouTube video. I happen to have extracted some of the audio from that. And so we're going to take a listen together and see what he's talking about. All right, there you go. So why are they reducing the power at that point? And by the way, based on a rough calculation that I made when I was recording that was about 2.5 to 3 minutes after they actually took off. And that is not unusual at all. I know that many of us have noise abatement procedures on our particular airplanes, and our companies have different policies regarding that. On my airplane, when we reach a 1,000 feet above the field elevation, we transition from takeoff power to climb power. And a lot of times, if we're using reduced thrust for takeoff, the transition from takeoff power to climb power is not even noticeable, because we're taking off at a reduced power to begin with. But if you're taking off at a higher power setting and you go to the 1,000-foot point, or whatever the point happens to be, and you bring the power back just to save some fuel and make less noise and that kind of thing, trying to be a good neighbor to the people that are surrounding the airport, that will happen. But in this case, I think it was probably a little bit higher than that altitude, and there are procedures where we fly that we have to level off below 10,000 feet, and I know that this varies around the world as far as speed restrictions below certain altitudes. But here in the U.S., if you're below 10,000 feet, you are restricted to 250 knots. And so, for instance, if you have a departure, and many of the places that we have departures from, we end up having to level off at 5,000 feet or 7,000 feet, or something below 10, and you can't keep that power up, because otherwise you'll go screaming through 250 knots when you level off. So the power comes back to maintain that 250 knots. And then when you resume the climb, the power comes back in. And then once you're above 10,000 feet, usually that power stays in that climb power setting until you get to your cruise altitude. So that's what I have to say about that. Any other expert?
I would also say any ATC restrictions that you're given, whether there's traffic or probably mostly traffic at that point, if it's a busy time of day, a busy airport. So speed restrictions, people crossing in different places and whatnot.
Yep.
So.
Absolutely.
The thrust reduction after takeoff goes way back to the late 60s, early 70s, when it was introduced as a noise reduction procedure, and we've just carried on from there. Quite honestly, even though the jet engines we use nowadays are so much quieter than the pure jets they had on airliners in those days. And really, once you're finished with the level of thrust you need to ensure a safe takeoff, then it's just to quieten the engines down and let the airplane accelerate more gently whilst you clean it up. And Steph's quite right. You might be held off for traffic, but if it's happening at the same time on that departure out of Sydney every day, it's almost certainly going to be either the thrust reduction for noise or a constraint that the guy has got to meet. He's reached the altitude. He has to stay at that altitude for a little while. So he's pulling back on the power, as Jess says, to keep his speed under control.
Yep. It's as simple as that. Thanks for the question, though, Luke. I'm sure that you're not the only one out there who has it and wonders why, the power comes back so dramatically or drastically, and especially in that airplane with the engine so far forward in the cabin on the wings. They're not in the cabin, but I always kind of chuckle when I hear somebody taking off and they're making their radio call, and you hear this in the background. I thought, oh, that's an Airbus. not a big wide body Airbus, but the smaller buses. Yeah. Those engines the fan noise is just amazing. And
I think the 7.3 is pretty loud too up in the cockpit, if I remember right.
What's that?
Isn't the 737 pretty loud?
Well, I don't hear the same thing when I hear the 737 guys or gals talking on the radio. I don't hear that in the background, but I do on the Airbuses, and so it's almost every single time I hear that, I go, "Oh, that's an Airbus." I can tell.
Well, you're used to those whisper quiet Mad Dogs, Jeff, where your engines are at the complete other end of they're in the toilets at the back of the airplane, aren't they?
Yeah, and so if you have a seat back there in the back of the airplane, it's really a racket. But if you're anywhere from midway in the fuselage or cabin forward, you don't hear a thing. In fact, that was one of the weird things about me transitioning. I was flying the 727 at the time, even though the 727 engines were on the tail as well. I guess they were louder and I could hear them. So when you're starting engines and stuff like that, and you're pushing the power up for taxiing, you could actually hear the engine spooling up and that kind of thing. But on the Mad Dog, a lot of times, you push the power up and you really can't hear it. You have to look at your engine instruments to see that the engine's actually responding. That's how quiet it is up front.
Well, and hopefully this is reassuring, because I know there's people out there who are nervous flyers, and they're sitting back somewhere near the engines of their aircraft, and they hear this on departure, and they start wondering all kinds of things. But this is normal. You're supposed to hear that. That's supposed to happen. Yeah. For all the reasons we just mentioned.
I always wonder when that happens. Like, we have a lot of times, like they'll give you a departure and they say the top altitude in the departure is 7,000 feet, let's say. But usually before you get to that point and level off, they've already cleared you to a higher altitude. So you never hear the engine spooling back like that. Mm-hmm. But sometimes because of traffic or whatever, they have to keep you, like going out of Miami, and you have people coming in from over the Atlantic and they're going to cross over you. So you'll level off at 7,000 feet or whatever, and you'll bring the power back. And I'm thinking, I bet some of these frequent flyers are going to think, uh-oh, that's not a good sign. We're going to probably have to come back, for
no, I think the frequent flyers experience it enough to know it. It's travel. I'm sure Reid has seen this, or too. When you're sitting in the back and you're sitting around people who are clearly not frequent flyers, and it happens, that's when they start looking around a little bit, going, "Is everything okay? What's going on?"
I don't think Reid ever sits in the back.
No, I don't think so either. All those amenity kits, he's nowhere near the engines of the aircraft.
All the pajamas. He's an upfront man. He turns left at the door.
Well, the rest of us plebes who have to sit in the back sometimes, you can see that happen with people who are not.
Reid's up there with his pajamas and drinking his champagne.
That's right.
I wonder what's happening with those little people in the back.
Yeah.
They're all freaking out. No, I'm just kidding.
It's interesting you made that point, Jeff, because when I came out of the military, I was kind of used to sitting in between two jet engines, and I hardly ever had to look at the engine instruments to check what kind of power setting I had, because you just set it by the tone of the engines. And when I did my first few trips to an Airbus, despite the fact you probably go, "Oh, they're quite noisy." For me, I was going, the engines, how am I going to set power? And I would have to stare at the engine instruments on manual thrust approaches to know what. And I found it. Oh, this is terrible. I hate this scan. I'm looking at the instruments, looking at the runway, and now I've got to set all four engines to the right power setting without being able to do it instinctively just by listening to them.
Yeah, but then as you know, you just get used to that. You get used to the fact that you're not hearing the engines anymore.
Nah, just put the auto thrust in.
There you go.
Meanwhile, in general aviation, you can see it right in front of you.
What's that?
I said, meanwhile, in general aviation, you can just see it right in front of you. You know what your prop is doing.
That's true. That's a good point. Very good. Okay, so Luke, hopefully that answered your question. And Robert says, just quickly, hi, Jeff and crew. By the way, Robert in Marietta, on the northwest side of the Atlanta Metroplex, is the guy that was saying, hey, we should go to a baseball game. So hopefully, Robert, you are listening to this episode and you'll be able to join us on Sunday the 16th to our little meetup at SunTrust Field. Anyway, he says, thanks for the recent frank and open discussion on crew depression. I'm finally home for a bit and was able to take a fellow aviation enthusiast to the Delta Museum today and walked through the newish 747 exhibit. You're welcome to post these photos if you'd like. So he took some photos of the 747 exhibit, and now we're going to cue Captain Nick in, and he's going to say something derogatory.
No.
Okay.
Don't forget, my father used to fly these airplanes.
That's true. That's true.
I think it's the perfect place for them, in a museum.
I knew it was coming. Thank you. Let's see. Nick writes in. Not you, Nick, but this is Nicholas Hewitt. Hi, guys. Loving the show. I came down with the syndrome about a year ago, and I've been suffering happily ever since. I was talking to a pilot of a Flybe Embraer E190, also my favorite aircraft, after a recent trip, and was surprised to hear that he and his co-pilot actually have a particular aircraft that they prefer to fly within their type. In this case, registration Golf Foxtrot Bravo Echo Juliet. Is this the case for you guys? Is there a particular Mad Dog Captain Jeff looks forward to flying? Same for Captain Nick. Is there an individual aircraft that you look forward to flying? Do you guys even consider the registration of the aircraft when allocated, or are they all the same to you? Thanks for all the work and effort. APG has helped distract me in some tough times recently. My week wouldn't be the same without it. Hope I have the opportunity to meet you guys here in rainy old Wales at some point. Nick. Well, Nick, I'm glad that we were here to kind of make your life easier, and we appreciate the fact that you appreciate us. And sorry about the syndrome, but what are you going to do? But getting back to your question about a particular airplane that we enjoy flying, I have to be honest with you. The fleet that I fly, the MD-88s, I think we have 128 of them, and then I think the 90s we have 63, 64 of those. So all total, almost 200 airplanes of the type that I fly. And I do pay attention to the registration on it because I have to make sure that when I get in an airplane that the paperwork that I have for the flight and the logbook that I have that is the same as the registration number of the airplane, because the FAA kind of frowns when you're flying around an airplane that has the wrong logbook in it. But other than that, I really don't notice much of a difference between I do notice that some airplanes do fly a little bit differently, but I've never made a mental note like, oh, registration November 917 DA is my favorite MD-88 because I love the way it rolls or the way it, the way it lands or whatever. But being that Captain Nick, that you fly a smaller fleet of airplanes, not a smaller airplane, but a smaller fleet of them. Do you have like particular airplanes that fly better than another, or are your favorites?
No, I don't know whether it's a function of fly by wire or not, but they all seem to fly in an identical way. I mean, there are none of them that are a little bent, say, or sit there and you need a little bit of extra trim or whatever. No, I think fly by wire kind of takes all that out of the system, which some people might say is great, but the fantastic advantage is it really doesn't matter which airplane you're in. You're going to fly it exactly the same way as you did the last one. Obviously, there's a difference between the two types I fly, but that's that's obvious. When you're flying an airplane with only two engines that's 100 and something tons lighter, then you're going to feel a difference.
There's going to be a difference.
Yeah, but the only thing I really dislike is walking out and finding the airplane's really dirty, or it's got some, say, cowlings or panels that have been substituted from a pool. We often share spares with other airlines, and sometimes you might have a radome that's come from another airline. It's the wrong color. I always think that looks unprofessional, and I dislike that. Sometimes the engine cowlings are with a different paint job, and you go, "Oh God, that looks so naff."
Yeah, it does look bad.
That's about the only time I ever dislike flying a particular aircraft. Now, I quite enjoy looking around and going, "Oh, look what this one is. Oh, it's got a name on it that matches the registration." I think, oh, that's kind of cute. I quite like that. But no,
yeah,
no real favorites.
I love that your airline does that. But I forgot how many we have in our fleet, but it's like hundreds of airplanes. I mean, just in my own fleet, it's almost 200, and then the whole airline combined, it's, I don't know, 600, 700 airframes or whatever. It's just a huge number of airplanes out there that. But I do notice, like, certain airplanes I'm taxiing around on, and it feels like it has the luxury glide suspension or something, and like it's all nice and smooth, and you're going over bumps and you hardly feel them. And then others, it's like, you feel every single crack in the pavement. But I never make a mental note, okay, well, this is the one I really like because it does this really well or something. But I just never.
Well, this is not aviation related per se, but it's the same thing, which I didn't realize, but it's kind of the same topic. When I was down in Charleston, I had the chance to see one of my cousin's daughters sail, I should say, in the college sailing national championships. And these are all, elite level sailors, but small boats, small watercraft. And every round that they go out and sail, they rotate boats because apparently there are boats that are better than others. And that's a way to level the playing field. So I just thought that was interesting. I had no idea. I just assumed everyone had their own boat. But when they go to different places, they use the boat at whatever club they're sailing at. and some are better than others, so everyone rotates around. Make it more fair, I suppose.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So,
let's see. You know, was it the last regular show, not the Feedback Extra, but the 278, I believe, when Dana and Steph and I were together in Charlotte, and we were talking about asphalt and the fact that at Gatwick the tarmac was getting warm or hot, and they were using water to cool it off and that kind of thing. And so we were discussing a little bit about the term asphalt, or as Dana liked to say, ashfault. And so I'm thinking, what exactly is asphalt? And so I decided I'm going to use my smartphone to ask Siri.
I don't hear anything, Jeff.
Oh, shoot. Okay. That was a rehearsal on my end. I heard it just fine.
Okay, good.
Hey, Siri. Can you tell me about asphalt?
I found something about asphalt on Wikipedia. Do you want me to read that to you?
Yes, please.
The word asphalt refers to a mixture of mineral aggregate and bitumen, or tarmac in common parlance. The word tar refers to the black viscous material obtained from the destructive distillation of coal and is chemically distinct from bitumen. In American English, bitumen is referred to as asphalt or asphalt cement in engineering jargon. In Australian English, bitumen is sometimes used as the generic term for road surfaces. In Canadian English, the word bitumen is used to refer to the vast Canadian deposits of extremely heavy crude oil, whilst asphalt is used for the oil refinery product used to pave roads and manufacture roof shingles. Diluted bitumen, diluted with naphtha to make it flow in pipelines, is known as dilbit in the Canadian petroleum industry, whilst bitumen, upgraded to synthetic crude oil, is known as syncrude, and syncrude blended with bitumen is synbit. Tarmac, short for tar macadam, a portmanteau for tar penetration macadam, is a type of highway surface. Strictly speaking, tarmac refers to a material patented by Edgar Purnell Hooley in 1901. The term is also used with varying degrees of correctness for a variety of other materials, including tar-grouted macadam, tarvia, bituminous surface treatments, and even modern asphalt concrete. To try and clear up the confusion and get the terminology correct, bitumen is an oil product of the oil refining and petrochemical industries. Very basically, it is the thick, sticky residue goo that is left over when all useful fuel oils, such as kerosene, petrol, diesel, etc., have been extracted by fractional distillation of a crude oil. Macadam is the process of binding together small aggregates, as pioneered by the legendary John Macadam in the 19th century. His work resulted in the development of tar-based macadams, which became abbreviated to tarmac. Nowadays, we use bitumen from the oil industry rather than naturally occurring tar, and therefore we now have bitumen macadam, or as we call it, bitmac. Asphalt, according to British and European definitions, is a mixture of bitumen and minerals. However, in the US, they use the term asphalt for what we in Britain and the rest of Europe refer to as bitumen. This is the source of much confusion amongst non-trade professionals as to what's what and what's not.
I think I need to go to the Apple store and visit the Genius Bar, because Siri just took a really odd turn there. It didn't sound like Siri's voice at all.
Some echo there. But
go ahead.
I didn't know that the old curmudgeon was a Wikipedia entry for so many things.
Yeah. Apparently doing some moonlighting on the side for Apple.
I tried it. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, there's going to be a quiz on that later for everyone listening. Stay tuned.
Absolutely. I tried to find out the specific reason by asking my gnome in air traffic control at Heathrow to find out what was going on at Gatwick. And all that Adam the gnome could find out was that there was some a slightly damaged surface that they were trying to protect in the very hot weather. So perhaps they'd used a temporary repair. But of course, as you'll probably find out, if you were to keep playing that Siri thing. It depends what country you're in as to what type of material you have and what temperature range your tarmac or asphalt will work in. So if you're in a very cold country, you don't want it to break up when it freezes. If you're in a very hot country, you don't want it to melt when it gets to a very high temperature. So they do actually bind it with slightly different materials so that it will be firm and usable in the temperature range that is common in your climate. So in a temperate country like the UK, it'll allow for a lower temperature range than it would, say, in the south of America, where it would need to be able to cope with a higher temperature range. If it starts to exceed that temperature range, then of course you need to do something about it, because as we all know, a big heavy airplane sitting on little tires will sink into the tarmac if it gets too hot. And once they left grooves there, if it gets cool again, those grooves will set and you'll have a permanent indentation in your tarmac. So that's probably again what they were
Useful
doing now.
for parking.
That sounds painful.
And it's all very well for people who live in hot countries to make fun of the UK when they're having to cool their tarmac, but your tarmac doesn't freeze very often.
Hey, buddy, cool your tarmac.
Exactly.
Nina says, well, in geologic terms, wouldn't your crack count as asphalt? She spelled that phonetically, by the way. Don't want to emphasize that too much.
I'm going to leave Neville's comment on red, but
let me take a look at Nev's comment. Where are you, Nev? Trying to find it. There's so many comments in here.
Between Micah and Bo.
Okay. Still can't find it. Well, I had to really scroll up, huh?
No, it's not. It's near the bottom.
Oh, yeah, that's what she said.
That's what she said.
Firm and unstable.
Thank you for reading that out.
It's unusable.
Firm and usable.
Unusable.
No, usable.
Usable. Firm and usable.
Usable.
Ron Jeremy.
I've got my glasses on.
Actually,
I do have the glasses on.
I actually learned something. I actually listened to what old Curmudgeon was saying on that, and I some nuggets of information I thought were pretty cool, like tar macadam, whatever that's what we call tarmac. I had no idea.
Yeah, it was all very interesting. We have to listen again because it was a lot of information, and I was not taking notes, but. More to asphalt than I thought.
Yes, a lot more. And bitumen and all the other words that were used there.
Never heard that word before, by the way. So
interesting. Hey, Steph, I was thinking maybe about taking on the piece of feedback that we received from Stephen Ivey. I thought at first that it was he was just trolling us and kind of complaining about our show, because he basically said, "This is Stephen Ivey. What an idiot!"
not referring to us.
It wasn't referring to
any
of us. So, do you want to go ahead and maybe take this one on?
Sure, I can do this. This is general aviation related, so I'll be happy to. He says, "Hey, Stephen Ivey,"
thing, because it's a very long.
Try to paraphrase. I've actually read all of this, and I'm familiar with the story. So
it's amazing.
I haven't read it for a little while, but bear with me. I'll try and give you the Cliff Notes condensed version, because there's a lot to it, and it's pretty good. Anyway, this is Stephen says, "This is a good lesson on how to be a bad pilot." And that may be a little bit of an understatement here. The name of the article is "He's a Terror in a Twin." And sometimes it's obvious how an accident report is going to end from the very first sentence. So this particular incident, the NTSB says the airplane owner, who was a non-instrument rated private pilot and did not hold a multi-engine airplane rating, was conducting a visual flight rules personal cross-country flight in the multi-engine airplane. So just take that nugget and then imagine in your head how this is going to end. It's not good, by the way. So this was a pilot who had a private pilot certificate with a single engine land airplane rating. So to avoid any doubt, that means he can fly single engine airplanes on land in clear weather. No multi-engine aircraft, no flying in clouds. So There's a whole bunch of stuff here that I'm going to skip through just a little bit, but it looks like he had about 800 hours total time. 255 were listed in single engine aircraft and 218 in multi-engine airplanes, interestingly enough.
But apparently he had quite a background. Didn't he fly F-4 Phantoms?
The daughter said that he flew F-4 Phantoms and
he told a Big Bear employee at the airport there in Big Bear that he flew Phantoms and then transitioned to helicopters.
So this guy was in the U.S. military, but in the Marine Corps as a lance corporal, and no record of any military flights at all. So we're not sure how that information about flying F-4 Phantoms came to be.
He's exaggerating a little bit.
He's exaggerating a little bit. He's got an entry in his logbook showing 10.5 hours of flying a Piper Apache twin engine with a total multi-engine flight time of 150 hours. Not sure how that happened either. He has a couple of other interesting entries in his logbook. Flew over parade 10 feet off ground, made 6 passes. Landed on Route 66 for July parade with Mare. Flew to the barn, landed on Route 66 for auto show. Not sure why he's landing on Route 66 so often. Another entry, Big Bear Air Show, made it. Speed passes over runway. Anyway, I'm going to skip down to the day of the incident here because there's all kinds of questionable stuff about this pilot, which is just serving to build up the fact that we're not sure why he's doing the things he's doing in the airplanes that he probably shouldn't be flying, or definitely should not be flying in the first place. So on the day before the accident, it says this was the 4th of September, 2015. Pilot fueled up the aircraft. This was a actually, I don't know if it says what we're flying here at the moment, but we'll get to that. So he was flying a plane. He fueled it up.
Was it a 310, Cessna 310?
It was a Cessna 310. Yeah. I'm sorry, Cessna 310. So he departed Big Bear City Airport 6:15 in the morning, arrived at Barstow Daggett Airport at 6:30 to pick up passengers. His plan was then to fly to Amarillo, Texas by following Interstate 40. They would have dinner in Amarillo and return the same day. There was another pilot on board and they had GPS. A staff member remembered that they departed pretty early in the morning. He appears to have picked up his passengers as planned at Daggett, California, and then he continued with 4 souls on board to Flagstaff, where he wanted to refuel before continuing. His first contact with air traffic control that day was to contact Flagstaff Tower. So he says, Flagstaff Tower, this is Piper Comanche, November 1099 Zulu. I'm sorry, Quebec. We're approximately 30 miles west of the field. Anybody know what the weather is down there you socked in? Because we are flying over the top here. So who's writing this article says, now I generally don't like to pick on GA pilots' radio telephony, and Lord knows I've made more than my share of bad radio calls, but as a starting point, there's a lot wrong here. First off, his identification is wrong. The aircraft is not a Piper Comanche, which is a single-engine small airplane. It's a Cessna 310, different model, different make, different number of engines. He then got his call sign wrong and then corrected it without repeating it, which is a bit confusing. He asks, you socked in there? Not quite standard terminology, but not unreasonable for a U.S. airport. If an airport is socked in, it means that it is closed because of bad weather. And finally, flying over the top means he's flying above the clouds, out of sight of the ground. Rules differ by country as to whether a visual pilot can fly on top of the clouds, presuming he didn't fly through the clouds to get there. And in the U.S., VFR on top is fine as long as you don't need to pass through the clouds and are not a student pilot. So that will just clarify that for U.S. flying. Flagstaff Tower responds. They say, Comanche 1099 Quebec, Flagstaff Tower, we are open. The ATIS is also broadcasting. We're 900 broken, 1600 broken, 2400 overcast, visibility 10. Translation, the airfield's open, and you should have gotten this information by listening to the Automatic Terminal Information Service. This is a continual broadcast of airport and weather information on a specific frequency. When you fly into a busy airport, you listen to the ATIS. I will say Flagstaff's not terribly busy, having lived there, but they do have a tower and ATIS information, which you can certainly get without having to ask for it. So going on, so it's we got the weather there, so it's overcast 2,400 feet with some broken layers below that. So no wonder the Comanche, the Cessna can't see the ground. November 1099 Quebec says, oh, thank you. I just tuned the ATIS then. Appreciate it. Thank you, Flagstaff. At least he understood the issue. And then he says, Flagstaff Tower, 1099 Quebec, about to land. We're approximately 10 miles west of the airport. Bet that about to land woke up the controller. Flagstaff Tower responds, Comanche 99 Quebec, Flagstaff Tower, we're IFR, the airport, 900 broken, 1600 broken, visibility 10. He comes back and says, okay, now we're approximately 8,000 feet. We have a visibility looks like greater than 10 miles. So at 8,000 feet, he can't possibly have the ground in sight. There's 3 layers of clouds below him. His horizontal visibility may be 10 miles, but that's not useful. Flying under visual flight rules, he still can't descend through the clouds. Flagstaff Tower says, I concur with the visibility. Are you requesting something special? And then he says, the field's now VFR. So the Flagstaff Tower comes back and says, field is VFR. The ceiling is, well, I have a scattered layer of 1,200, ceiling 1,600, report right base for runway 21. So the controller's happy that this pilot can come in under visual flight rules. It's now scattered, and he asks the pilot to let him know when he's on a right base, which means he will be 1 turn before final coming in from the right side of the runway. So this is, and then the pilot actually acknowledges us and straightforward. Flagstaff Tower asks him to verify that he has information Charlie, which is the ATIS information. And 99 Quebec says, copy that. We've got a little bit of a blank here. I'm not sure what that means. Flagstaff Tower says, Roger, the wind 220 at 8, temperature 16, density altitude 8,400. Flagstaff's at over 7,000 feet elevation for anyone who's not familiar with the area. Dew point 13, altimeter 3026. So all that's relevant information for landing. November 99 Quebec says, thank you. And the person writing this article says, and this is from Fear of Landing, by the way, which we talked about this blog earlier.
I found out about this.
So, this is very good.
Yeah.
Says, I imagine the controller's voice getting a wee bit stressed by now as he corrects the pilot. Bear in mind, the pilot should have already had this set up after listening to the ATIS. November 1099 Quebec again says, Flagstaff Tower, this is Quebec. We're going to report left base runway 21. Just wanted to confirm that. Quebec. Left base? Some airports have right and left-hand circuits. Here's a quick sketch to show you how this might look. There's a picture. So you can imagine, I think most people listening to this, even without a diagram or a picture, would know what a right-hand traffic pattern might be to a runway or versus a left-hand. So you're coming in either from the right or from the left. Pretty straightforward. So Flagstaff Tower says, are you set up for a right base or a left base? You're coming from the west, you said. 99 Quebec. Oh, it's showing left base on my GPS. Left traffic on runway 21? Flagstaff Tower says, we can make whichever way you want. I just need to know which direction you're coming from. Are Flagstaff always this laid back? Because I'd be having kittens by now, is what fearflying.com says. 99 Quebec says, well, we're coming from 270 right now. 270 degrees is west. Sure enough, the aircraft is traveling due east, coming in from the west. Got it. So from 270, you should be west of the airport. Well, where was the destination you left from? 99 Quebec says, well, we can report. Let's see. The winds are from what? No, the answer is Barstow Daggett Airport. That was the question that was asked. So this goes on. Let me get down to where it's a little more, because there's a lot of this. So Flagstaff finally says, okay, we have runway 21. Okay, I see you now. You are on a left downwind for runway 21, cleared to land, wind 210 at 8. So the Flagstaff Tower is like, all right, I got it. Whatever you're doing, just get on the ground, get here now, because I'm kind of stressed out about you doing all this weird stuff that I didn't ask you to do. So cleared to land, runway 21, and to the relief of everyone, they land. So Flagstaff Tower wants to know if they're going to the FBO, and he says, yes, we want to gas up. Can we exit? So they do all of this. They get to the FBO, they gas up, and then I think they take on extra passengers. There's a whole lot more information here, but or whatever passengers they had got off. There were several people in the aircraft with this pilot at one point before they leave again. After the Cessna had vacated the runway and stopped, the pilot had a lengthy conversation with the controller in which he explained that he wasn't aware there was a problem because his radio had not been turned on. Oh, sorry. I skipped ahead of some important stuff here. Let me back up. So, yes. So next they're going to Amarillo, Texas, which from Flagstaff, Arizona is to the southeast. So the pilot calls for an abbreviated weather briefing, which he described as a visual flight from Flagstaff to Amarillo. and the airport with identifier Tango Delta Whiskey. However, the pilot identified his destination as Lima 51, which is Heller Farm Airport in Winifred, Montana. That's about 1,000 miles to the north of Amarillo. So the weather briefer caught the error and gave the pilot the correct weather for the airport in Amarillo, Texas. After it was fueled and everyone was back on board, they started up the engines, began to taxi without any contact to air traffic control, taxied right past the tower, turned right onto the main runway or main taxiway, and continued directly towards runway 21, where SkyWest flight 2992 was on short final and cleared to land. The tower, receiving no reply from the Cessna, issued a go-around to the SkyWest flight. The airliner broke off its approach as the Cessna taxied onto the runway. Cessna positioned itself and started a takeoff roll as the pilot made the first call to air traffic control. So this guy's on the runway making a starting his takeoff roll, and just then decides, oh, maybe I should talk to the tower about this.
That's normal, isn't it?
No.
Oh.
Definitely no. So the tower controller, not surprisingly, was unimpressed. He instructed the Cessna to abort the takeoff and exit the runway immediately. They then had a lengthy conversation in which the pilot explained that he wasn't aware there was a problem because his radio had not been turned on. Then he was told to phone the tower. Yes, that's normally what will happen. SkyWest came back in and landed safely, although the flight crew did make a nervous call to ask what the heck just happened. They were told it was a case of situational awareness.
Or lack thereof.
So after their phone conversation, pilot of this Cessna 310 gives it another go, gets onto the runway, takes off with no further issue. They remained low as they departed from runway 21. After about 1,000 feet, Cessna went into a climb, entered a left turn heading northeast. Again, Amarillo is actually due east of Flagstaff. Actually, I thought it was more to the southeast, but yeah, due east. So they're going wrong direction. After they departed, radar data showed that the aircraft was turned again towards the north rather than east. They continued to fly towards Montana, and the weather began to close in. They would have been flying into rain showers and in instrument meteorological conditions, which no one in the aircraft was qualified for. The following day, pilot's daughter became concerned as she had not heard from her father. The aircraft wreckage with no survivors was discovered in Colorado at 11,500 feet on the side of a mountain. They had flown directly into the rising terrain at high speed. So, yeah, a whole lot of not good stuff going on here. I don't even have a lot of commentary on this because I think the story speaks just very much for itself, and it's a prime example of what not to do if you are a private pilot with a single engine certificate and no instrument certification. So.
Yeah, there's so many things wrong with everything that this gentleman did that it's hard to know where to start. But they said that this new handheld GPS that he had, that he was navigating with, and led him into the Colorado mountains. The reason for that is that he kept thinking he was going to the airfield identifier Lima 51. And in fact, he was trying to go to Tango Delta Whiskey, I believe it was, for Amarillo. And they said they were kind of scratching their heads. Why was he calling it L51? He said, well, on the Amarillo chart, there is one reference to L51. It's the length of the runway, 5,100 feet. So he's looking at the chart. He sees L51 thinking that's the identifier. And so L51, as Steph mentioned, is up in Montana somewhere, not in Texas. And just amazing how,
I think the best line of this article is at the very end, though, where Fear of Flying says, the truth is, I'm simply surprised that he survived that long with his whole flying career. So, because if this is representative of what he was doing every time he was out, that's an amazing stroke of good luck to have made it so far.
Yep, and Tanya makes a super good point. Lots of stupidity, but also highlights the issue of blindly following a GPS. And we had talked about this, I believe it was on the last show, where we talked about the fact that there was a student pilot who was watching some like Dateline NBC, and this student pilot, entered a wrong digit for the track or course of her flight, and she was going completely the opposite direction, flying into high mountainous terrain in Wyoming. And she crashed, but luckily she survived.
Yeah, it has to all make sense. Technology is wonderful, but you have to be the human on the other side of it, making sure that it computes. Because if you enter it wrong, if it's human error to begin with, the computer doesn't know that. and it will, if you're going to just follow it blindly after that, it will tell you exactly where it thinks you're supposed to go or where you want to go. And that may be right into the side of a mountain. So, yeah.
Yes. Well, I feel sorry for the innocent passengers.
Yes, absolutely.
That perished
And you wonder, well, how did they not know anything was going on? Well, if you're not a pilot and you're not familiar with what's going on, it's hard to maybe know.
Yeah.
I think that just may be how things go. That's
Obviously,
normal. It sounds like technical jargon I don't know is being discussed, and he seems to know what he's talking about and knows how to operate the airplane. So yeah, let's go to Amarillo.
He flew F4s when he was in the Marine Corps.
Exactly.
Should know what he's doing, right?
If he actually flew F4s.
When he was a Lance Corporal in the Marine Corps.
Special program.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of talk, I think, when this article came out about how did the Flagstaff Tower not stop him from going, but they really can't,
No, they don't have enforcement.
No, there's no enforcement there. They can make a lot of strong recommendations, but and they can, if there was a violation that occurred, that can be something that's sanctioned, but it's not going to happen right there then in that instant. So they're on their way. So.
Yeah. A sad story, but we'll put the entire the link to Shirley Wrigley's Fear of Flying blog in the show notes, and it turns out that's earlier I had talked about this, talking about Amelia Earhart and getting on her mailing list, and now I realize how I discovered her. It was through Stephen Ivy's reference to this article in her blogs. So I highly recommend reading it and signing up for her email notifications. And again, all that will be in the show notes. And now I think it'd be a good time for us to have this week's segment or installment of Plain Tales.
The Old Pilot's Plain Tales, the Maverick of Malta. In a peacetime Air Force, such words as insubordinate, reckless, lacking respect, impatient, uncontrollable, loner, and misfit would mark the end of a pilot's career. In war, however, a Nelson's eye is often turned to such men, particularly when they become the RAF's second most decorated pilot of World War II. Such a man was Adrian Warburton, better known to his friends as Warby. By the end of his short wartime career, he would have been awarded the Distinguished Service Order twice and the Distinguished Flying Cross no less than 3 times. In addition, and most unusually, he was also awarded the American Distinguished Flying Cross. His time in the RAF, however, did not start smoothly. The son of a naval officer, he was born in Middlesbrough and christened on board a submarine in the Grand Harbour of Valletta in Malta. He was schooled at St Edward's in Oxford, where 2 other famous airmen of the Second World War were educated. Guy Gibson, who led 617 Squadron on the Dambusters raid, and Douglas Bader, the legless fighter pilot. Warby joined the RAF in 1939, but his flying training didn't go particularly well, and he nearly failed to make the grade. Starting off on 608 Squadron, he was flying Blackburn Bothas aircraft patrolling the North Sea, but his outspoken criticism of this obsolete machine, combined with his complete lack of discipline, gambling debts, and a disastrously short marriage to a barmaid without official sanction, saw him being posted to Malta as an observer, not a pilot. As his wife, who never saw him again, said a few years ago when being told of his exploits, "I never knew this man. I only knew a handsome, nervous young boy." Malta turned him into a man. He joined the pitifully small RAF detachment on the tiny island, and within 4 days he regained his pilot status, while back in the UK, his previous station commander was short-toured and removed from flying duties. It was on 413 flight that he blossomed as a pilot, and his true worth began to shine through, but it was not a smooth road to success. He was renowned for mishandling the aircraft on takeoff or landing. On one departure, he tore a wheel off, and on another, he ran down the line of gooseneck flares marking the edge of the runway, setting his aircraft alight. His ground crew rightly referred to his hopeless landings as arrivals. However, a bit like an ungainly albatross desperately flapping its feet trying to get off the water, once airborne, he transformed into a magical pilot. His aircraft was the American-designed twin-engined Martin Maryland, a reconnaissance and light bomber, which, despite its light armament, he flew bravely and with aggression in equal quantities. Rarely signing the Form 700, the aircraft's technical log, he launched himself on increasingly daring sorties, overflying and photographing enemy forces in North Africa and Italy. Rather than just getting his photos and scuttling straight back to his base, Warby soon had 2 enemy kills to his name. On the first occasion, he shot down an Italian Cant 3-engined seaplane, but only a few days after, he was attacked by 4 Italian fighters. He successfully evaded them until he was struck in the head by a ricochet and knocked unconscious. His aggression had ensured that the Italians disengaged from the attack, allowing his observer, Sergeant Bastard, to fly the aircraft until Warburton recovered enough to land his machine. Bastard received the Distinguished Flying Medal, and Warby was awarded his first DFC, with the citation reading, "This officer has carried out numerous long-distance reconnaissance flights and has taken part in night-air combats. On October 1940, he destroyed an aircraft, and again in December, he shot down an enemy bomber in flames. Flying Officer Warburton has at all times displayed a fine sense of devotion to duty." It's hard for us to understand the hardships that the people of Malta were suffering. Despite its strategic importance, the defense of the island was woefully inadequate, and particularly in the early part of the war, whilst Britain fought for its very survival, Malta only received the dregs of what was available. It was well within the range of Italian and German bombers, which pounded the rock day after day. Indeed, twice as many bombs fell on Malta in 2 months than fell on London during a year of the Blitz. Warby was becoming a bit of a celebrity amongst the war-torn inhabitants of the island, who were happy to hear anything that might cheer them up a little. When he became intimately involved with the beautiful singer Christina Ratcliffe, their love story was widely reported in the Maltese newspapers. Christina had come to the island to perform in cabaret and entertain the troops with her group, the Whiz Bangs. Their first meeting was love at first sight, and she admitted that, with his golden hair and beautiful blue eyes, Warby resembled a Greek god. His love affair didn't become a distraction, however, and he continued to push his luck in daring missions, usually a lone aircraft well away from Malta's meager fighter cover. His bravery in ensuring his vital reconnaissance flights were completed was soon to be recognized with the award of his second Distinguished Flying Cross. This officer is a most determined and skillful pilot, his citation read, and he has carried out 125 operational missions. Flying Officer Warburton has never failed to complete the missions he has undertaken, and in the actions fought, he has destroyed at least 3 hostile aircraft in combat and another 3 on the ground. This bar to Warby's first DFC wasn't achieved without considerable personal risk, as he twice crashed and was nearly shot down by a hurricane from his own side when his Maryland was mistaken for a Ju-88. However, his guardian angel was on the ball, and he walked away every time. One of the concerns of the Royal Navy's Mediterranean Fleet was the whereabouts of the Italian Navy, and when 431 Flight spotted a major concentration of enemy battleships at Taranto, Admiral Cunningham decided on a night attack by his Swordfish torpedo bombers. Warburton flew the reconnaissance mission on the day before the attack, making repeated passes, and when his cameras failed, he flew past the ship so low and so close that his observer was able to read the names of the battleships. He came home with a length of aerial from one of the ships lodged in his tail wheel. The Distinguished Service Order that followed his missions over Taranto came with the following citation. This officer has carried out many missions, each of which has demanded the highest degree of courage and skill. On one occasion, whilst carrying out a reconnaissance of Taranto, Flight Lieutenant Warburton made 2 attempts to penetrate the harbour, although, as there was much low cloud, this entailed flying at a height of 50 feet over an enemy battleship. In spite of the failure of his port engine and repeated attacks from enemy aircraft, he completed his mission and made a safe return. On another occasion, he obtained photographs of Tripoli in spite of enemy fighter patrols over the harbour. In March 1942, Flight Lieutenant Warburton carried out a reconnaissance of Palermo and obtained photographs revealing the damage caused by our attacks. This officer has never failed to obtain photographs from a very low altitude regardless of enemy opposition. His work has been most valuable, and he has displayed great skill and tenacity. After a long period of operations, Warby was rested, but after a promotion, he returned to fly further missions over North Africa and Italy. While on detachment in Egypt, he managed to acquire a Bristol Beaufighter heavy fighter. Stripping the aircraft of all guns and armor, he equipped it with cameras and took the airplane back to Malta. He flew the aircraft for about a year until it was finally destroyed in a raid. He continued to attack whenever he saw an opportunity. On one recce mission over Africa, he approached a new Italian airstrip. He lowered his wheels as if to land and then opened fire, destroying 3 SM-79 bombers before accelerating away. In fact, Warburton shot down 9 enemy aircraft, becoming an ace while still flying his Maryland light bomber. On another occasion, when attacking an Italian seaplane, Warby was hit under the heart by the rear gunner. Part of the cockpit and the gun turret blew off. An engine failed and the aircraft caught fire. Somehow he regained control, but was obviously in pain. The following conversation passed into RAF legend. Paddy Moran, his air gunner, asked, "You okay, Skipper?" Warburton replied, "Yes, I'm fine now." "But, Skipper, what are you doing?" "I'm extracting a bullet from my chest." Another story from Paddy Moran had them in neutral Tangiers, picking up a new aircraft from Gibraltar. They were in civilian clothes for a night out and sitting in a nightclub when a waiter brought over a tray of drinks. Warburton's crew went, "Ah, lovely. Who are they from?" "Compliments of the Luftwaffe, sir," answered the waiter, pointing to a table of German pilots, also in civilian clothes nearby. "That was a brilliant evening, I can tell you," said Paddy Moran years later. His second tour finished, Warby was promoted to squadron leader and given command of 683 Squadron. He was soon recognized again with his 3rd DFC. It read, "Since August 1942, this officer has completed numerous operational photographic sorties, many of them at low altitude and often in the face of opposition from enemy fighters. His work has been of the utmost value. In October 1994, his gallantry was well illustrated when he directed an enemy destroyer to a dinghy in which were the crew of one of our aircraft which had been shot down. Although he was fired upon by the destroyer and engaged by Italian aircraft, he remained over the area until he observed that the drifting crew were picked up by the destroyer." His work now included vital pre-invasion reconnaissance of the landing beaches in Sicily. He coordinated the photographic work with the local American forces, who were amazed at the much decorated officer who came out to greet them at Lucca Airfield. As usual, he was attired in dirty grey flannels, an oil-stained tunic, and topped by a mop of long, unkempt blonde hair. He had just returned from the dead after being missing for 3 days. Whilst photographing Biarritz, his plane was disabled by flak. He'd struggled on to Bona in Algeria and landed unhurt. After being kept under lock and key for 2 days, suspected of being a German agent, he was able to establish that he was British and was given a French plane to fly to Gibraltar. There, he changed it for a Spitfire and flew back to Malta, returning to Bona on the way to pick up his cameras and film, and shooting down a Ju-88 on the way. When he landed at Malta, his first remark was, "Sorry, I'm late." His work photographing the coast of Sicily was exceptional, since it had to be flown from very low level and under continuous fire from the coastal defenses. The Americans were highly impressed and awarded him the United States Armed Services Distinguished Flying Cross. He was promoted to wing commander and given the command of a wing of 4 photo reconnaissance squadrons, and before long, he was awarded his second DSO. This officer has undertaken a very large number of reconnaissance flights over a wide range of targets in the Middle East theater. His work throughout has been of the highest order, and the information he has obtained has proved of incalculable value. On one occasion, in December 1942, he made a low-level flight over Naples and achieved success in the face of heavy anti-aircraft fire and fighter opposition. Wing Commander Warburton's great courage and devotion to duty were well illustrated during a reconnaissance of Pantelleria in May 1943. Although his aircraft was continually subjected to fire from the coastal batteries, he skillfully accomplished his task, securing information of the highest importance. Wing Commander Warburton's record of operational flying is outstanding. Sadly, he was injured in a serious car accident and was forced to return to England to recover in hospital. However, he was soon back at work whilst his injuries healed as the RAF liaison officer to the 7th Photo Reconnaissance Group of the US 8th Army Air Force at RAF Mount Farm in Oxfordshire. He had become friends with the base commander, Elliott Roosevelt, the son of the president. And when an important mission came up, he persuaded Roosevelt to let him fly one of the American P-38 Lightnings to photograph targets in Germany. Although not officially fit to fly, he departed as one of a pair of aircraft. Over Germany, they split up to cover different targets, but at their RV, Warby failed to turn up and was never seen again. Only recently was his crash site found, along with his remains, still in the cockpit of his Lightning. He was initially buried as an unknown American airman, but when records revealed that it had been Wing Commander Warburton in the aircraft, he was reburied at the Dernbach Commonwealth War Cemetery in the shadow of the Bavarian Alps. One of his surviving friends said, "Warby was never a swaggerer. There was some jealousy about his awards, but he never cared about medals. He was driven by an absolute determination to get the job done." But perhaps the greatest tribute came from Lord Tedder, Marshal of the Royal Air Force, who once described him as the most valuable pilot in the Royal Air Force.
Wow. What a story. Was this guy just extremely lucky or extremely skilled or both? What do you say?
I think you're right, Jeff. A bit of both. I know. I must admit, I was sadly ignorant of his career until Adam pointed it out to me. And when I read it, I was, this can't be right. But when I got hold of all his citations and realized that, wow, this bloke from being such an appalling rebel. He was not fond of discipline. He was, he refused to take orders, but when you gave him a task and if he assumed it was important enough, he risked life and limb to go out and do it, and he did it brilliantly.
Talking about the definition of mission-oriented.
Oh, very much so. Very much so. But one of those classic pilots that could not have done his job if we hadn't been at war, because the establishment would never have put up with him.
And what is it that Micah said in the chat room? You don't hear bomber pilot and ace usually in the same sentence.
No, that's exactly right. And apparently he used to fly that Maryland bomber as if it was a fighter. He used to throw it around the sky like nobody's business. Very impressive.
Wow. That's amazing. Very entertaining again. Thank you, Adam Spink, for the idea and for the flawless execution by Captain Nick.
Oh, you're very welcome, sir.
All right. Speaking of Micah, we just mentioned he was with us here in the chat room, and our meetup just a few days ago. And we thought we were going to be recording this episode actually on Thursday in Micah's kitchen studio, but instead we had the meetup and just worked out that timing was best for us to record the show today, Saturday morning. But that didn't keep Micah and I from getting together after the meetup and sharing a beer and talking. And there was something that he had prepared for us to play on episode 279 while we were recording in the kitchen studio, and we're going to play it anyway. And let's see. No, we don't hear you, Steph. You're muted. Nope, we don't hear you now either. Darn it. By the way, during Plain Tales, Steph ended up rebooting because she was having some issues with her computer and internet and that kind of thing. And apparently, not everything is recovering. But she'll work on that. And while she does, let's listen to this piece of audio feedback that Micah sent in.
In 3, 2, 1. Ron Ananian, the car doctor. Sure, it's a radio show about car repair, and has been since 1991. More recently, it's been a podcast too, and I highly recommend it. I've been listening to the car doctor from the beginning, but to say this show is a call-in show about car repair is like saying the airline pilot guy is about 3 or 4 people talking about airplanes. It's much more than that, and really deserves a listen. I know you'll enjoy it, whether you're interested in auto repair or not. Ron has been my mechanic, or maybe I should say auto technician, for years, both in person and on the air. I'm proud to say he's also my friend. Ron's Uncle Steve has been a hero of mine for a long time. I never met Uncle Steve, but he was a P-51 Mustang pilot back in World War II. Uncle Steve was a regular Memorial Day guest on Ron Ananian's A Car Doctor. Steve wrote a terrific booklet titled Ramrod to Munster about his first mission in his P-51. You can look it up online and still find it. Trust me, it's worth the effort. I always wanted to interview Uncle Steve. Tried to arrange it a couple of times to get him on a podcast, but it never worked out. I started to grow concerned about it. You see, Uncle Steve just celebrated his 95th birthday, and I was worried that I might not get my chance to talk with him. Well, as you can probably tell, my concerns were real. Steve Ananian recently passed in his sleep. As a tribute to him, his nephew, my friend Ron Ananian, the car doctor, played a highlight reel of sorts on his show. It's taken from Uncle Steve's many appearances. It's with Ron's permission we bring it to you now.
What a life. Uncle Steve, 95, gone in his sleep. This is First Lieutenant Stephen Ananian. God bless.
We were escorting the bombers to Munster, and escorting bombers is called a ramrod mission. So on the way, I was flying over Holland, over Heligoland actually, and that's the German West Point for anti-aircraft gunners. And I got hit by one anti-aircraft gun, and I was hitting the supercharger of the aircraft. And I flew my airplane losing losing oil for about 45 minutes until I finally had to bail out over the North Sea. And at that time, there was gale warnings over the North Sea with 75-mile winds and 10-foot waves. And so, but I bailed out and was in the water for an hour and a half, and I was rescued by a British Air Sea Rescue flying boat. And I got back naturally, and I flew 63 missions after that.
Did you hesitate going up the second time, Uncle Steve? From what I remember, they offered you a couple of days off leave up in London, and you said, "Heck no, I want to go." That's right. I went the very next mission that they flew. So no, I was afraid when I flew, but my fear was not of getting killed, but I was afraid I'd screw up. I mean, this is what every pilot did. I mean, you had to respect what the enemy had to offer. You really had a mindset. That whole generation had a mindset, as the mindset of all the generations have come and gone since. That it really is a dedication to duty for someone to march off to defend the country, and that's really what Memorial Day is all about. It's not about anything else. I'd like to tell you something. The Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor on December 7th. At that time, it was a Sunday. I was a student at NYU. In fact, when I heard about it, I was working out in a gym at NYU. And when I heard the news, I went rushing home to tell my family that what happened, and also to explain to my parents that I was going to go off and join the Army. I was going to become an aviation cadet. And when I got home, we were having, in those days, we used to have early dinner, and lunch. It was, Sunday. And so after dinner, I said to my father, "I'd like to talk to your dad," and say, well, we used to go in the living room, and he would bring his coffee and his cigarettes, and I would bring my glass of milk into the living room, and I'm preparing to tell him that I'm going to join the aviation cadets. And I was stammering around, and my father turns around and says to me, "Son, your country needs you. What are you going to do about it?" And that was the way it was. And I said, "I'm going to join up with the Army Air Corps." And the next day, I went to Grand Central Palace in New York on December 8th, and I enlisted in the Army. That was the story of it. It kind of clicked in place for you. I constantly get emails from all over the world from people. When I say constantly, I'm talking about at least one or two a week from Europe, from Czechoslovakia, from the, I shouldn't say Czechoslovakia, the Czech Republic. Right. I mean, it's been a long time since it was Czechoslovakia. But the letters I get thanking us, and they ask about people that were members of our unit that were shot down and were killed over their countries, and they have put up memorials at the sites with placing flowers there on every holiday and every special occasion. I mean, the people around the world really appreciate what we've done, and we should ponder what these people did for us. I don't know if you know it or not, but the 8th Air Force, the losses of our Air Force, of our group, was 2/3, 66%. That means 2 out of 3 guys just didn't get back. And I consider myself the luckiest person in the world. I flew 63 combat missions and was shot down on my first mission. Went down in the North Sea in the icy waters of the North Sea during a gale, and
I'm here, 92 years old plus. I'm still surviving.
Yeah, well,
I'm still going to reunions and still driving my car and getting to fly airplanes and stuff like that. And when I got over Paris, I flew along the Champs-Élysées with my wingman flying my wing about 50 feet off the ground. And all the people were waving at us, and we were just smiling and laughing. And then we turned, at the end of the Champs-Élysées is the Palais de Chaillot, and I made a left turn, and there's the Eiffel Tower. We headed towards the Eiffel Tower, buzzed that, and then flew back to London. Now, during the war, you couldn't fly over London because of the barrage balloons, but on VE Day, the barrage balloons were down, so we flew over Trafalgar Square very low and spiraled upward over Lord Nelson's statue and climbed up to 20,000 feet and came back. And we came back and landed. When we landed, my commanding officer's Jeep came roaring up to my airplane, and he jumped out. He says, "What the hell you been doing?" I said, "What's the matter, sir?" He says, "The phone's been ringing off the hook about these red and white checkered nosed P-47s buzzing all over France and England." And I said, "That wasn't us." I said, "We fly P-51. He says, "Baloney." He said, "You can, you know that those civilians don't know a P-51 from a P-47.
Yeah, but still,
you climb into this I-86 and you're going to Scotland." So that was it.
And that was it. Hey, real quick, Uncle Steve. You named the plane Baby Mine. 30 seconds or less. How'd you come up with that name?
The Walt Disney's motion picture.
No. I don't want that version.
Dumbo in it, and he in that picture. That was the famous song, and that song used to go run through my head when I was flying.
Yeah, but wait a minute, Uncle Steve. That's the family version. Wasn't there a story about when the girls in the bars in London would ask you, "Did you name your plane after me?" And what did you tell them?
That's right. I'd say I named it after you, baby. And they'd look at me and say, "Oh, come on, Yank." And I'd take out a picture of my airplane, and they believed it.
And said it was Baby Mine. Uncle Steve, as always, it's a pleasure to talk to you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in June. And we've got to go right now. I really want to say thanks for taking the time. And it's just a whole lot of fun to talk to you. I love you.
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
I just want to thank all these people in the service for protecting us and giving us the freedom that we enjoyed. And our prayers are with all these people. Thank you.
All gave some gave all. Uncle Steve, we look forward to talking to you again next year, if not sooner. You take good care.
Oh, thank you.
Listen, Uncle Steve, the clock's going to take me. I love you. I want to tell you how proud I am of you, as I always do and always am. And I just want to take that opportunity. I want to thank you for being with us today. And the listeners really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ron. And I appreciate it, being able to talk to your listeners.
Okay.
Take care.
You take good care, Uncle Steve. I'm Ron Ananian, the car doctor. We'll be back right after this.
So thank you, Uncle Steve. I'm sorry we never got to meet or got to talk. Sorry I never was able to get things organized in time. Thanks for your service and for your stories. Thanks for everything. Know that you're still here with us, even if only in spirit. And thanks, Ron Ananian. Thank you for your great work, both as a radio guy and podcaster, and as a shop owner and master mechanic. Thanks for being my friend and letting me share Uncle Steve with my friends here on the Airline Pilot Guy. So for the Airline Pilot Guy, here in Portland, Maine, this is your main man, Micah.
Wow, they don't make guys like that anymore, do they?
No, they really don't, Jeff. And when I recorded that piece, I thought that we were going to be able to do our the podcast together. At that point, we had it planned to do it from the kitchen studios here in South Portland. Now, you and I are hanging out here in South Portland in the living room studio today, but unfortunately, the whole podcast couldn't come together. But I wanted to mention that, we just lost Uncle Steve, who was a World War II vet, and our Civil War vets, the last one died. His name was Albert Henry Wilson, and he died on August 2nd in 1956. And the last World War I vet lived till February 4th, 2012. He was from the UK, and his name was Florence Green. But, we're getting to the point where we're starting to lose our World War I vets, and we really need to cherish them, and we need to be able to get those stories and all that great information and all the really wonderful stories, sad stories, amazing stories, but beautiful stories like we had from Uncle Steve. And so we just need to be aware of that now. And I wanted to bring that up so we could remember that.
Well said. Well said. And I love that whole piece, and listening to Uncle Steve and his stories and that patriotism that he had. And well, as always, we love all the pieces that you send us, but that was an especially important one for us to hear.
Very poignant
to you. And for those listening who may be looking for another podcast that might not be aviation related, I do want to point out Ron Ananian, who is a terrific podcaster. He's been on the radio. He started on WOR New York back in 1991. It's on a number of different stations around the country, but you can get him on a podcast. The Ron Ananian, A-N-A-N-I-A-N. Sorry. He's a terrific podcaster. He does, like I said earlier, he talks about automobiles the way you talk about airplanes. The Airline Pilot Guy show is much more than just airplanes, and the Car Doctor is much more than just cars. And really worth giving it a listen. He's also an incredible master mechanic, and I've really been lucky to have him service up my vehicles a number of times. So thanks for having me on the show again.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And it's great to be with you here in your living room studio. And I'm sorry it didn't work out for us recording in the kitchen studio today, but we still had a great time. We're just back from a meetup with Mark Adams and his lovely daughter Carolyn. They drove down from Lewiston, Auburn, and well, you know, chances are you've already heard the audio from that little meetup. But so they took off, and Micah and I are here in his lovely home, and just wanted to share that with you.
Let's you and I have another beer.
Nice. So thanks, Micah, for preparing that for us and giving us a little glimpse into the life of one of the great Americans there, Steve Iranian. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or not, but Uncle Steve, let's call him. Always good to hear stories, well, like the Maverick of Malta, and then Steve, Uncle Steve, and his gallantry and bravery and accomplishments in the war. I mean, I was just blown away by the fact that his first mission, he was shot down, and he spent an hour and a half in the North Sea with 10-foot seas and 75-mile-per-hour winds. I'm thinking, I don't think I would have even survived that. Amazing.
No. It was incredible how they found him, for heaven's sake. In those kind of seas, you know, it'd be so easy for him to have drowned.
Mike was telling me that there was some kind of a high wing, almost like a biplane kind of a flying boat. That
walrus, perhaps?
I think a walrus, yes. In fact, that is exactly what it was. Showed me a picture of it on his phone. And that's what went out there and
wow,
rescued him. And I'm thinking,
wow,
how do you land that?
Exactly. Well, by the sound of the strength of those winds, he didn't actually have to land. He could have come down vertically down to 75-mile-an-hour winds. Wow.
Yeah, I think he said that the aircraft that came to rescue him, the Walrus, was wrecked after that.
Oh, good Lord.
Stephanie, are you back with us?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right.
You're having all kinds
so I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry. If it quits again, I'm like, it's clearly not good signal right now. So
yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. We're getting close to the end.
That's all right.
So
yeah.
But 50 down and 30 up. So I'm cool.
No, I need Reid to come down here and whip my internet into shape. Actually, I think I have some idea of what the problem is. I was kind of sharing with Jeff, and I will be making a trip to my local internet service provider this afternoon to resolve the issue. Hopefully.
Good for you.
Yes.
She's going to slap him around a little bit.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you people?
He might enjoy that.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
Yeah, that's true. Got to be careful. Don't worry.
So sorry if I drop out again. It's just my turn for the internet gremlin, and
We'll just get Reid to put a skirt on, and he can take your place, Steph.
Perfect. He'll stand in well for me. I have no doubt.
He will.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
My vast medical knowledge.
Fortunately, we don't have to talk about that on this show. So,
all right. Well, you know what? It's getting to be that time again. I know that we didn't get to everything in this particular episode's feedback folder, but that's okay. We never do. But I think we covered quite a few pieces, and that's a wonderful thing. If you want to add to our incredible backlog of feedback, you can send it to feedback@airlinepilotguy.com, or if you have the app, both on the iOS App Store and the Google Play Store for Android platform, look for the Airline Pilot Guy app. It's free, no ads, and it gives you the ability to listen to the show, watch the videos, and also send feedback, all in one handy-dandy smartphone application.
Absolutely. You even get a push notice when we're about to do an unexpected extra bit.
That's right. Yeah.
provided we remember to send out that extra.
Provided that Stephanie
And-
reminds me that I haven't sent out a push notification.
Yeah, because Jeff is the only one that can do it right now. We need to.
Well, no, I mean, you guys could do it too.
I need the access again. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll get it. HR. We need to have
HR.
So before we wind up, there was just something I wanted to mention following the plain tale, which was I know some of our listeners love to watch old movies, and if you enjoyed that plain tale, there is a movie called The Malta Story. I think it's about 1942, black and white movie, stars Alec Guinness. So, you know, those of you who like him as an actor, think Star Wars. He played the part of Warby in that movie, which is loosely based on his time at Malta, in Malta.
Oh, interesting. Is it a good movie? Have you seen it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've seen it a few times. The real dramatic part is that the survival of the Maltese people during what was an incredibly intense amount of bombing and the hardships they managed to make their way through, and the fact that, of course, King George V awarded them the George Medal for the entire island for their bravery.
So did they invent malted beverages and like malted milk and that kind of thing? Malt balls?
Yeah, you'd have to ask them that.
Okay. I know. Joke. Sorry. All right.
Are you making light of that name, Jeff?
I am, and I apologize. Send it back to Nick at airlinepilotguide.com. No, just send it to me. All right. Well, again, if you want to learn more about the show, please head over to airlinepilotguide.com. Lots of information there. We talked about the apps, social media. Steph always likes to fill us in with that.
Hopefully this comes through crystal clear, and if not, just use it from a previous show, I guess. But you can find us on Twitter, altogether at APG Crew. You can find a pinned tweet at the top there that has all of our individual contact information. If you send something to us there, we can all see it and reply to it. You can also go over to facebook.com/airlinepilotguy, and there's information there about things that people like to share with us, stuff that we like to share with you all, and sometimes meetup information as well. And that about sums it up for social media. Is Hillel still in your bathroom?
Hillel, come on in. It's time.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. On Slack, we share news and ideas. We suggest episode and plain tales topics. We plan meetups and events. To get into the Slack team, please send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @HI11E1, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel @HI11E1, and see you in Slack.
Thank you, Hillel. Now go back to the bathroom or closet, wherever you came from.
Not nearly so many popping peas.
Yeah, he must have heard your criticism. Recorded it.
It wasn't really criticism.
I know, but he sent that in to me. It's a new version of Hillel and Slack. I love it. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
And thank you for organizing the upcoming Baltimore meetup. Look forward to seeing you in just a few days. And that's another big round of applause. Here we go. For our APG Crew hero, Reid Fischler, who came in to provide Nick with a space and just crazy fast bandwidth for this show. So thank you again, sir.
Thank you for having me.
You are certainly welcome. And until next time, wishing you clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Talons, Douglas.
Cheers, y'all.
Bye, everybody.
New people are going to go, talents, Douglas. What does that mean?
Yeah, you got to have
That's all right.
APG
Listen long enough
syndrome
and-
to know what that means.
You got to go back to, get the full effect there.
All right. Good show.
Yeah, great show.
Excellent.
Sorry for my crappy internet, especially with Reid here.
That's okay.
Of course, my internet would not hold up.
What is your problem, Steph?
I don't. Well, no, I think part of the problem is I was. What's my problem? So, over a year ago, I got a notice from my internet service provider that they were giving out upgraded modems, and I was supposed to go get one. And I'm lazy, and I never did that. And then they just made a bunch of upgrades to the network here. And since that happened, internet has not been so reliable. So, I would talk to them and find out what new equipment I need in my house to make it all compatible and working again. And something else was happening too, where another laptop in the house was trying to connect to my Mac to access the internet. And every time that happened, it kicked it off completely. So I don't know what that's about. I don't know how to fix that, but I'm going to look into it.
That's like internet sharing. Do you have that?
I don't know what's going on. It's never done that before. Today's the first time that's ever happened.
We
of
never
course.
changed that. So
No,
I
and
can't imagine why it would do that.
I don't know. So that was bizarre. But every time that happened, every time someone tried to use that laptop, I got kicked off the internet. So that was 2 of the instances. And then the third one was just, that definitely didn't happen. It was just, it got gradually worse and worse and worse and then disappeared. So I don't know.
Any thoughts?
I'll work on it.
What's
there are lots of possibilities. Probably on the other Mac, you probably had an IP conflict. They were both trying to take the same IP. Yeah,
they were trying, that's the exact message that I got. Another computer is trying to use the same IP address, and
yeah, you have to make sure that it auto selects IP addresses, but it's probably that can actually be solved by the new modem as well.
Okay. So I just need to go do that. Like
I assume you have cable.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
Sounds like you went from DOCSIS
watch
to
TV.
DOCSIS 3. So
cable TV.
Yes, I think so. It's cable. It's through the local cable internet or cable provider, but I don't actually have cable TV. So
yes,
but that's where I get my internet from. So
you might want to consider and see. I'll see if Reid agrees. Maybe he won't. Purchasing, because you probably have to pay like a monthly fee for the cable modem from your company.
I don't know.
If you do, I went ahead and bought a. It's made by Motorola. It's called a Surfboard.
I have one of those, but I don't know if it's.
Yeah, you have
make sure it's the
compatible with
DOCSIS
current.
3 though, the latest version.
Yeah, it's an old one, so I'm sure it's not.
Yeah, you have to make sure that it's allowed by some of the cable companies won't even allow you to buy a cable modem.
Right. I'm just gonna go get whatever they recommend and tell them I do this type of stuff, and I need lots of upload.
Oh, watch out!
bandwidth,
They may want to put you on a business plan and charge you a lot more.
Well, okay, I'll be vague about what I need. I'll let them know I don't make any money from doing this, and in fact, I spend a lot of money. Well, I don't spend a lot of money, but it's just my personal money for my internet, and I'm not getting anything reimbursed to me for it. So,
right,
we'll see what they say. If they want to charge me a lot of money, I'll tell them where to stuff it.
Now you won't have any internet.
Then I'll have no internet, and we'll resolve the issue completely.
We'll have
I'll
Steph
just
as a
pirate.
stick figure.
I'll just pirate my neighbor's internet, and we'll be good to go.
Oh man. So you're on call now, right now, standby or whatever, Captain Nick.
Soon.
In just over an hour. So I think Reid's and I probably going to have a bit of pizza and then head back.
Okay.
He's put me on a thing called Freedom Pop. So,
Well, I haven't put you on it. I just
requested.
Well, that's his saying. You let him know about this. I have a Freedom Pop modem actually. Somewhere.
Oh, right.
But I haven't used it in probably 4 years.
Right, but but Nick didn't even have any hotspot availability in the U.S. at all.
Yeah.
So this might be an alternative if I start having problems with hotels.
What's it called again?
It's called Freedom Pop.
Freedom Pop. Okay, I'm going to write that down.
It wasn't really great when I used it a couple of years. I mean, it's been probably at least 3 or 4 years since I've used it. So I'd imagine now they probably upgraded the network and they use what? Sprint?
It's Sprint. They moved. You probably have one of the old 3G ones, so it's now 4G.
Okay. Yeah,
but it's still they're always. I mean, they're known for having interesting billing methods.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily fraudulent, but you're never going to be able to cancel. So
I still get emails from them.
Right. So, but it is a good way of getting good, decent data, especially if you're going to do what Nick does. The other thing to do is just get a T-Mobile SIM, and when you're flying internationally, you can get unlimited international roaming. So I can just turn on my phone in any country, and presto, I'm there.
So do you think that the Freedom Pop 4G is good enough to do a show using Hangouts on air?
It wholly depends on where he physically is and where the Sprint tower is.
Yeah. Okay. We'll look into that.
But at least it's an option.
Right. The other thing which you might want to look at is, and Nick, I don't know if you get status with any airline as part of your job, but you may get benefits at but you may get benefits at the Regis clubs, REGUS, which are the little offices on the road. And there's one in Garden City. There are tons all over the place. You could always just park yourself in a Regis club for an hour or two, and that's like $30 or less. And if you have the free membership, which I get from like every airline, and I'm sure you could get, I would think that maybe your union has it or something, but Regis clubs are everywhere around the world, and they're a phone and internet. That's what it is, a room with a phone and internet.
I'm going to write that down too.
I'm looking it up right now. Regis US office space, meeting rooms, and virtual offices.
Excellent. Well, I've got travel coming up, so I want to make sure I can hopefully connect with you guys.
Yeah, there are like 3 right here, not too far from where I am. Not that I would need it here, but interesting.
And I know that with me having access, I think I get like 1 hour per month or some such thing, but it's really not that expensive. I used them after Hurricane Sandy. They had one that had decent access.
Nice.
So it's always a backup. Sure. And then
trouble is, I'd need like 5 hours for one of these shows.
But you could always go to I would think that you could always find somebody at a local FBO. Like here, you could go to, I would think someone at Farmingdale Republic Airport would know the show and be willing to park you somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right out there next to the J3 Cub.
There you go.
So park you somewhere?
Yeah, lots of FBOs have internet too, so you can just go in and...
Right out there next to the J3 Cub.
Was that one of those things you call a joke?
Yeah. So I have to like,
no one laughed.
Okay, here comes a joke. Okay, then I do the joke, and then I do the rim shot.
Uncle Jeff's jokes.
I was just going, yeah, that sounds good. I don't know.
Right. When you hear that funny symbol, then you laugh.
Yes.
And cue the laughter. Okay, got it.
That's it.
Yes.
You guys got it.
All right. Yay. I'm laughing now, see?
Yeah.
Oh, so I'll let you guys go so you can go get some pizza. That sounds good, actually. I haven't had anything to eat yet today.
Time for lunch. I've had 2 beers after my tea. Oh yeah, I'm on beer number 2. It's 12:48 in the afternoon.
Yeah, it's afternoon.
I started at 11 drinking.
I'm gonna drink your beer, Steph.
Don't drink my Micah. Do you see what he's doing? You sent this beer with him for me.
I don't know what happened to that beer, Micah. You never gave me the beers for
my beer.
Steph, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have these beers.
He's only told me about it like 5 times now since last night about how he has these beers for me.
Yeah,
and he's gonna drink them.
I can't get away.
I think
with
by the time I see him next, I will have 0 beers from Micah.
No, I took at first I put all of them in the refrigerator, Steph, out of my suitcase and into the refrigerator, and then I thought, you know what, I need to take a couple of these beers out of the refrigerator because I'll
accidentally consume them. Yeah, so, I mean, if they're there and they're cold, I would consume them.
Anyway,
that's right. I'm easing my way into day drinking with my Par 4s, which I love from Noda Brewing Company.
Low alcohol.
These are low alcohol session IPAs, which actually taste very much like a full blown IPA. So, day drinking without the intoxication. Yes.
There we go. And Lane says, I think
hang on a minute. We don't drink for the flavor. We drink for the intoxication.
No, I have passed that point. I just want to enjoy the beer and not be an inebriated mess that can't read through technical.
But that's when you're at your best.
you might end up on that blog that you were reading from about the.
Oh God, no. Listen, there is definitely no drinking and flying mix. That is not allowed. So
this Mike is asking about the fireberry, with the yerba mate.
Yerba mate.
Exactly what she just said. She said it's so much better.
My
than I do.
accents get better when I've had a little bit to drink, though.
Can't wait. Spend some time with the Latin lady after she's had a few beers. The Fireberry from Shipyard, I really like. Nick, you would not like this. It's very has a lot of fruity overtones. So
I think Nick would like the Par 4, though. It's not terribly fruity. It's just a nice, solid IPA with a low alcohol content. He may not appreciate that, but I'm just
a sleuth
you know,
hanging off.
It is a
sloth.
sloth. It is a sloth.
Just
A
gotta
little
drink a lot more of
three-toed
it.
sloth. Yeah, he's just chilling. He's slow moving, slow IPAs. He's got some golf balls here on the other side.
Sounds perfect for the APG.
Yeah, it's great.
All righty. Well, thanks everybody for hanging out with us on a Saturday morning or
Yes, we
Saturday
love you all.
afternoon or whatever it was for you, wherever you are
that
in
was
the
a
world.
good show. I enjoyed that. Thanks, Jeff.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, very nice. Sorry about my crap internet.
Well, you know what? Again, it was there when we needed it, Steph, when you were doing that coverage of that idiot pilot.
That was
Stephen-
a long article. I forgot how long that article was.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I hate that I threw
No.
that at you. I thought that you would be perfect for this.
Yeah, it was fun to read. I enjoyed doing it, so
Yeah.
hopefully everyone else enjoyed it. So,
Yeah, we did. What the heck is low alcohol? Liz,
4%.
right?
It's 4%. 4.0. The alcohol per volume.
Yeah.
How many
That's not a
servings are in that one can?
It's 16 ounces, so probably 1.3-ish, 1.2.
I'd say if it's in one can, it's one serving,
It's
right?
one serving.
exactly.
Well, let's see. Does it have any nutritional data on this? Oh, wait. No, it doesn't. It's beer.
Huh.
No nutritional data on the beer.
By the way, I love the computers that Reid uses. I mean, he's actually got cathode ray tubes monitors.
Really?
Yeah,
Works just
I'm
fine,
looking at
right?
one across the
I haven't seen a
across the room
cathode
there
ray
going,
tube television in like a
flat
decade.
screen?
I have one in the back. Do you want one?
Actually, I take it back. I do own still one cathode ray television, which has my VCR player in it. And I've got VCR copies or VHS copies of Top Gun and Blues Brothers and some other classic.
He's got a
movies.
computer up here on his shelf with a 3 1/4 inch floppy drive in it.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen one of those in a long
That's a
time.
museum he has there.
Where's the 5-inch floppies? Are they
Well, there are no computer geeks here, but I have stuff up there that has Token Ring and Fiddy on it. But
I don't know what that
nobody here
means.
is gonna-
Go ahead.
yes,
No.
very old stuff.
Wow. Okay. Right over our heads.
I know.
I love it.
All right. Excellent. Well, have a great rest of your day, Captain Nick. Hopefully they don't call you out and you can enjoy another.
Hopefully the bin liner is.
I shall have a quiet evening and a few more beers. I don't know who'll be around because my crew have buggered off home. Nick, who I was having a beer with last night with Reid and Dave, he's an old macro of mine. We go back a long way. He and I, he's heading off in his bin liner. Mind you, the chances are it'll go US and he'll end up back at the hotel. So, perhaps
But then you'll be flying, so it wouldn't matter, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, I didn't thought of that. Oh, very good. No, I'll probably go down and have a breakfast and a beer. That'll be nice.
Excellent.
Only he
I'm gonna
comes
go-
to Long Island and eats German food.
Oh, we just like that bar because the owner's nice and he gives us a discount.
I wouldn't pass that up.
No,
Can't look at a
exactly.
gift horse in the mouth there.
You got to
Well,
learn
I'm gonna
something.
go.
Read about airline pilots. We're very cheap.
Some people would say frugal, but other people would say cheap.
The
Sounds
flight
like
engineers
No,
are the
cheap.
worst. They'll take you for a 3-mile trump to get a breakfast that's 50 cents cheaper than the one you go to.
I love it. Oh man.
Well, Steph, do you
Well,
have any big plans for today?
I'm going to go argue with my internet service provider to get
Okay.
me better internet access. And then it was actually my dad's idea. We're going to go see Jersey Boys tonight.
Oh, nice.
So we're going to go to dinner beforehand. And I decided not to go to Asheville because, the significant other is on call all weekend and working horrible hours. So that doesn't really help me out any. And I have friends that just moved to Knoxville and they were like, oh yeah, come out. We'll be there now. And I'm like, you just moved in and you're 8 months pregnant. You have a 1.5-year-old son and you have a week-old litter of puppies. So
Stay
I'll
away.
wait on that. I think they were really just asking for help
Yeah.
with the moving process, but they didn't say it that way. They just said, yeah, come visit. We've got a pool.
That you won't be
That's
able to
not
use because
filled yet.
No, the pool is actually filled and has been kept up by the previous owners, but I've got a lake, so
who needs a pool?
Yeah. So we're
Lake's
gonna go
sounds
see
nice.
Jersey Boys. I'm really excited for that. I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent.
It's gonna be.
I recommend that you drink 2 more of those beers before you go to the cable place.
Yeah, someone will have to drive me there, but it's right down the road. I could actually run there. It's like a 5-mile run
Oh, that's what I would do.
in the middle of the day on July 8th.
I'm gonna go out for a 50-mile run right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nick and I are going to run back to his hotel.
Yeah.
How far is the
You'll be
hotel?
chasing that mad dog around, will you, Jeff?
Alrighty, folks. We're going to go ahead and shut this thing down. So, again, thanks for everyone in the chat room for hanging out with us. And I hope you have a great weekend.
Auf Wiedersehen.
We'll see you sometime later this week.
Yep.
All the best, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.